Okay, it looks like the YouTube stream is up. Okay, it looks like the YouTube stream is up. Okay, it is. And I'll turn the sound of the game back on here. Okay, it looks like the YouTube stream is up. Okay, it is. And I'll turn the sound of the game back on here. Okay, it looks like the YouTube stream is up. Okay, it is. All right, and then we will get Twitch started. All right. All right. Looks like Twitch is up fine. I think what I did last time is I moved these over there. We'll mess with that in a second. And then the last things here I want to do is I want to record on my camera. Yep. And I also want to make sure that the game stream is selected and start recording. All right, I think I've got it all. I think we are good to go here. Make sure that it is actually recording. Last time I forgot to do that. All right, looks like it is. I'm gonna put my stream stuff over here. The chat and all of that. So I can try to hopefully remember to look at that a little bit more. I've been pretty bad about looking at that. But it comes with time, a little bit of practice. Let's bring this over here. Pull up a few resources here. Statistics on the channel and all that nonsense. Alright. Okay. Alright, I think I'm probably good to go here. About as good as I'm going to get anyway. Alright. Let's get it started. Welcome back, guys. I'm the Blue Titan, and welcome to another episode of Darkest Dungeon. So, the last time that we were here, we finally took over the thing that we've been trying to beat for a while, which was the Crocodilian. But I'm going to roll back for just a second here. There were a few things that happened in the last episode that were great. So the first thing here was we found a few cool items like the Sacred Scroll. As I said, I'm a fan of this item. I like it. I went online to check and see what other people looked or thought about this item. And honestly, apparently it's not a well-liked item. I think some people think that it's pretty bad. But, you know, everybody's way of playing the game is different. When I play the Vestal, I'm not playing her for damage, right? So I'm thinking of her as like a pure healer a lot of times. So when I saw this item, my first thought was, wow, it just makes the thing I do with that character the most very strong. Now, obviously, she's trying to stun people sometimes too and all this other stuff, and this lowers the stun chance, but when you're playing her as an exclusive heal bot, this is not that bad of an item. I saw some other people reference another item which I haven't unlocked and I'm not going to spoil, but there's another item that you can get later on that does healing and does all of that stuff as well without the downsides of the minus 10% stun skill chance and the minus 33% damage, and I can see why a person would prefer that one as well. But I like this one because it also lowers the stress, right? It makes it so that the Vestal class takes less stress while wearing it. So I don't know, this is a more conservative item than the item that the person that, or the few things online I saw resource-wise thought about this. There were some people that said that they think this item is like pretty mediocre because the battle decrease in the stats, right? It lowers the stun, it lowers the damage, but I don't know. When I think of the Vestal class, I'm not thinking of dealing damage. I don't even think of her as like an off-tank, or not an off-tank, an off-stun style character. I say that, I guess I should kind of show, in case you're not familiar, the Vestal class, as I'm struggling to find one, here's the Vestal, right? She has an ability here called Dazzling Light, which we've used to some success in our last playthroughs. It has ranged, its accuracy is 95% chance to hit. It has a minus 75% damage modification, which means that whatever the base damage on this character is, which if you look over here, you'll see her base damages are between 5 and 10 on a hit. Whatever her base damages are, it's going to deal 75% less than whatever she rolls. So if you attack with this character and the natural damage she was going to deal is 10, she's only going to hit for 2.5, which will, I think, round up. If you hit for 5, it's going to deal 75% of that, which is going to be 1.25, which is going to round maybe up to 2. I don't know exactly. But the point is, this ability does a lot less damage. That's not the point of this ability. This ability has a bunch of other random utility, right? It's pretty high accuracy. It does very little damage. It has a high percentage chance to crit, which is kind of funny. but it stuns very often. 110% of the time. Well, I say 110% of the time. I should be very careful when I say that. Against an opponent that has 0% stun resistance, it's going to hit 110% of the time. Right? If an opponent has 90% stun resistance, then it's only going to do 110 minus 90 or 20% of a chance to hit. Right? That resistance is subtracted. But it's a pretty high stun resistance, or I mean a high percentage chance to stun. And then additionally, you've got the torch that it buffs. It also buffs the torch by +6, which again, utility. This ability is not really so focused on, you know, the damage. It's focused on the stun part. And to the credit of the person that's talking about that item we were just talking about, the Vestal Scroll, the Sacred Scroll, which I'm a fan of, it does lower her base accuracy on that chance to stun, not accuracy. Her base stun chance from 110% down to just 100, and that's not trivial. It does matter, especially later in the game when enemies are getting stronger. They have higher resistances. But as a pure raw support healing item, when she's not an offensive character, you've got 3 guys in the team that can handle the damage and the CC and all that other stuff. I say CC, I mean crowd control. I think this item is a great pure healer item. I'm a fan of this item. But in addition to that, a long-winded defense that I just gave for that item, I also like that we just got this item called the 2 of 3. I don't know if it's great, I just thought it was cool, right? So when we talked earlier, we were talking about the Antiquarian, and I said that the Antiquarian as a character class is mostly known for her ability to gather extra, you know, money, extra resources, extra everything. She just helps you bring back a haul from the dungeons, bring back a bunch of money. But she also has the ability to help your whole team dodge during fights. She's very focused on dodging. And I did a whole video where I focused on her, and there's a few shorts on her. So if you're interested in that, you can go back and actually see those videos. But her main 3 things are she helps everybody dodge. She gets a lot of resources for your team through money or otherwise. She increases the cap on how much money you can bring home every stack, as well as gives you a higher chance of finding special rare items that only appear when she's on the team. And then the final thing that she does that I think is also kind of critical, especially against certain enemies, is she perpetually lowers the resistance of opponents' blight if she successfully lands her ability that does that. So if you were to pull up the Vestal here, which I think she's at the top here, not the Vestal, I meant to say the Antiquarian, right? So the Antiquarian has this ability called Festering Vapors, which has a bunch of stats on here. You can see accuracy, 100% of the time will hit. Say 100% of the time, assuming the opponent has no resistances, or dodge, I mean to say. But damage modification, we've already talked about something very similar to this, minus 75% damage, right? So her regular damage in this case is 5 to 7. So she's going to deal less than that, right? She's going to deal 75% of whatever number she rolls between those when she attacks. Crit modification is pretty weak. She doesn't crit much with this ability. That's not really what the ability's for, though, but it does blight the opponent. The key thing that this ability does, though, is it debuffs the target so that they are more susceptible to future stacks of blight and getting hit by blight. That's a big deal, especially later in the game as you start to run into enemies who have like resistances, naturally high resistances to abilities. You want to bring those resistances down and work them down. So that's the other thing I think about when I think about this character. She does have some other unique and interesting things like Get Down, where she helps herself dodge and all this other stuff. Interesting abilities, but really her bread and butter, in my opinion, is Invigorating Vapors, which just gives 5 dodge or 3 dodge or 5 dodge, and it keeps stacking. Every additional level, it makes it more efficient. She gives everybody on the team the ability to she gives everybody on the team the ability to dodge, but she also works down the opponent. She's a utility-focused character. She's not a high-damage character. But this ability, or that item that we just looked at here, the 2 of 3, is kind of unique, right? It says plus 50% damage versus blighted. So she just deals more damage against targets that she consistently... If she just keeps attacking the same character with that blight resistance thing, she can really rip through them, right? She has a higher chance of critting against somebody that's blighted. Well, the first hit's not going to, but then she adds to that, and then every additional successive attack, she's just going to keep on hurting them more and more. This is a great, what I would call like a boss item, like the kind of item you would throw in the Antiquarian whenever you're going to the Cove, because again, the Cove, the enemies there are weak against blight, and the Antiquarian is obviously a blight-focused damage dealer when she does deal damage. Now, she's not a damage dealer at all, but her only real source of damage is blight. So putting this on her would be great against a boss from the Cove who's going to be susceptible to blight in general. The last few items of note here that we have and that we found in our last episode were the Absinthe, which is an interesting item. It's not incredible. It's more of a utility-focused item that just kind of protects your character. Plus 35% disease resist. whatever. I mean, it's kind of interesting, but the reality is, when you're playing the Grave Robber class, the Grave Robber already has like a unique ability, Snuff Box, self only. She targets herself to remove disease. She can also remove it from a friend, so or teammate. So when you're camping with this character, if you have Snuff Box, you can use 3 time out of your 12 or whatever the base is to remove the disease from one teammate as well as her simultaneously, right? She kind of like works together with them to remove their disease, which kind of makes it so that abilities or things that like lower the chance of her getting disease are a little less attractive. The key thing that you have to remember though is this also protects you against the Crimson Curse, which is not an ability you can just remove the disease from. So this does protect a little bit from that. So it might be worth slotting a little bit in certain circumstances, but honestly, like, Blight is just bad in general, right? Against against Crimson Core enemies. Crimson Core enemies are very susceptible to bleed, and so I wouldn't want to increase the Blight skill chance. I just wouldn't want to bring a character who's focused on Blight if I'm going to be fighting against those characters. It's a weird item. It's kind of got this strange spot that it's trying to exist as like an item that allows the Grave Robber to be more efficient, I guess, maybe at that location, but I don't know. I'm not that impressed. Now, the one thing I will say here is where it says, plus 5% crit, minus 10% max HP. As far as downsides are concerned, they're nothing. There's nothing downside-wise on this item, but there's a reason for that. It's not that strong on its upsides. It's kind of a whatever item. It's okay. It's a neat little thing to have collected, because this is a specific item you can only get from that quest or the Crimson Courtyard. But it's not an item I'm going to be like excited to put on my character from the way that I play the Grave Robber personally. Now, looking at these other characters though, and talking about kind of things that I was excited about finding. One thing I want to make a comment on in the last video, I was excited about this item called the Stun Charm. I misread it. And if you saw that, or you might not have seen my realization later in the video, I thought this just flat out gave plus 20% extra stun chance, not resistance to stun. So I imagine my surprise later on when I was putting that on our Crusader here, and I thought that it was actually going to make him a more efficient threat, but it wasn't. So that was kind of an awkward moment when I realized that, but that's all right. Otherwise, there's not a heck of a lot of items that I want to talk about here. I think we pretty much covered it. Now, the other thing that happened in the video, as I said, we kind of go through the bosses in a bit. The other thing that happened before we talk about the bosses is we had 3 characters that have this blood symbol around their head, around their portrait, right? Now, if you don't own the Crimson Courtyard, which is a DLC that you may or may not have purchased when you bought the base game if you're playing, you won't know what this is, it won't affect you, you won't see it in the game. This is a DLC specific thing, as you see this person making a comment that popped up with the red blood all over it. This indicates that the person has a unique disease, right? Whereas normally in the game, you go to the sanitarium here that I have hovered in order to get rid of a disease. You can't get rid of the Crimson Curse the same way. The Crimson Curse is a pain. It's intentionally, it's like, I mentioned this in a previous video, but I'll say that here again, just a quick analogy here. If you've ever played like a Bethesda, like Elder Scrolls game, like where you catch Porphyry Chemophilia or Sanguinary Vampirus, those are both like the vampirism disease. Once you catch it, it's just like any disease. You can heal it, but if you don't, you become a vampire, right? It kind of has a similar feel to that, although it's a little bit more extreme. Once you catch the Crimson Curse in this game, your character just has it. They can't get out from underneath it unless you do a few things that we will see as time goes on, but it is not without cost. And finally, the last thing I said, or I wanted to talk about here, was what we did overall, the big overall picture of what happened in the last video. So the big thing was we toppled the first big boss of the game, which, if we go to Embark here, we beat the boss.
Just as I feared. Now loosed from their brackish prison, they will spread like locusts across our land.
He said it better than I could. We went to the courtyard and we defeated the first, like, mini boss, whatever, the Crocodilian, which I have a video for that you can go and look at. I'm dressed up as, my goodness, Crocodile Dundee, which is a bit of a dated reference from, like, 1986. It's an older movie. But we fought against the Crocodilian, who was the first kind of mini-boss, and we got through, we did the first mission, and importantly, we got rid of that persistent, annoying weekly event that kept saying, the town is abuzz, the town is abuzz, and it was stopping us from having town events just randomly trigger. We wanted to get rid of that, but in so doing, we also had to risk our characters, get infected, catch the Crimson Curse, do all this other stuff. But now that we've gone here and we've done the Crimson Curse, or the Crimson Courtyard as the first event, you can see here, we now have a Baron's Invitation. We have one of those here right beside the Crimson Courtyard. We actually do have the ability to go back there if we'd like, but we also have over here on the far left side of the screen, you can see curse-carrying insects have now begun to spread over the entire estate. But the infestation is low. The longer we play, the more the infestation will grow. And what does that mean? Well, it basically means that these insectoid bloodsucker creatures will start to spill over into the other locations in the game. And we'll have to fight them there too, which is annoying because, first off, they're kind of annoying in the first place. Like they inflict stress more often than damage, and they can really destabilize you if you've got a class or you've got a team that's built around a certain thing and you're not ready to deal with armor or characters who have high dodge or characters who are, maybe your whole team is focused on blight. It does almost nothing to those guys, right? They can catch you off guard because they'll spill over and kind of add a little chaos to your normal run. But in addition to that, they also will infect you with the Crimson Curse further. And there are some downstream effects of having the Crimson Curse, which we really haven't talked about because we just now acquired, it's an interesting word. We just now got infected by it for the first time. But needless to say here, this is going to be something we're going to have to deal with for the rest of the game now that we've unlocked the Crimson Courtyard as an important part of the game. It's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't situation. Because if you don't go deal with the first Crimson Courtyard mission, then you will never get a town event that's not just the town as a buzz, which that's not fun. You need to get rid of that, right? But that's the incentive or the negative incentive, whatever. It's the incentive to get you to go to the Crimson Courtyard. You want to get rid of that town as a buzz. You just keep hearing these, swarming insects, and you got to go take care of them. But once you do, now you've broke the seal. Pandora's box is open, and you have to deal with just a bunch of bloodsuckers for the rest of the game until you handle business there as well. But anyway, what I was going to say was, in the last episode, the main thing that we did was we went and killed that Crocodilian. That was the last thing we did. Prior to that, though, because we saw this item, the Sacred Scroll, as a potential drop from the boss at the Ruins, we chose to go fight against that Ruins boss as well, which was the Apprentice Necromancer, our first boss. If you're interested in that, you can go back to the previous video where we defeated the Necromancer. That was a good time, had a lot of fun. We were very prepared for that enemy, beat him very quickly, whereas the exact opposite was the case when we were against the Crocodilian. And that was my fault because I thought we could just pick up where we left off in the last mission, but no, that's not how the first... Turns out I had to go look this up. It turns out the very first mission at the courtyard, this is where experience actually worked against me. Since I had played a bit of the Crimson Courtyard, I knew that in situations where I had run before, when I came back I learned, whoa, I was able to continue from the same spot I was in the mission last time. I was under the impression that's how it worked at every location or every mission at the Crimson Courtyard. Not so for the very first mission. So we had to replay through the entire mission, and I went in very low on provisions, which kind of sucked. But we got through. It was a little closer than I wanted it to be, but, it makes for good content, I guess, right? But anyway, that's it for now, and I'm going to get back to the actual game here. I think we've done enough of a preamble to explain the previous game, but I want to make just a general meta comment about the game, and maybe just about how I'm going to play this moving forward. I've had a few people reach out to me and say that if they could give me some positive feedback, one of the things that they recommended was that I slow down a little bit in my cadence and how I speak, and that's me. I mean, if you know me in person, you know I'm a fast talker, but there's also a layer to this that's more, more extreme, and that's not only my talking fast, but if a person has never played this game before and they're trying to understand what's going on, Darkest Dungeon is what I would call old school Nintendo hard, or nowadays we might call that Dark Souls hard, right? It doesn't take any prisoners, and it doesn't give you a heck of a lot of an explanation as to how systems work. It kind of just throws them at you, and you got to figure it out. Now, there are some explanations, of course. I'm not saying it's totally without any kind of sympathy, but it definitely does not hold your hand. And we are playing on the harder difficulty, right? Not the hardest difficulty, which really doesn't increase the difficulty so much as it puts time constraints, but that's another conversation. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to slow down my speech a bit here, which for some people is going to be annoying, because some people don't really like the super slow whatever. But I'm going to do it intentionally, partly because I want to make sure that a person that's watching this that doesn't understand what I'm saying has the opportunity to hear me, because it's just who I am, how I speak. Sometimes I have a tendency to kind of like, we'll just say, run my sentences together, or mid-sentence pivot to another thought, and sometimes that's hard to, not only is it hard to clip and edit sometimes, but it's also hard for a person who might be watching this on, faster speed, or, is listening to this in the background while they clean their house or some other thing like that. It's hard for them to keep up. So I'm going to try to be a little slower, be a little bit more intentional, and explain why I'm doing something in the system sense, right? I think I do a decent job of explaining why I'm getting ready to do an ability, but I don't think I really explain like why or what abilities are sometimes, and I just kind of use them. I've done that for some characters, especially when I did the Antiquarian, but not for all. So we might take a little bit of time here in this episode, slow down that pace a bit, and explain what an ability does if I've never done that before, which will be a decent amount of them. If I could go back, I would have done that for the first 2 or 3 episodes, but I felt like when I was doing my first episode, it was already like an hour, and I was thinking, man, I need to get through some of this. I don't want this to be every episode be super long like this, but if I had done it back then it would be a lot faster already, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and adopt what I'm saying, and we will see how that goes. The other thing I want to talk about really quickly is the cadence at which I'm going to release videos for this. So the first few videos, they were a lot slower paced because I was trying to introduce systems. But in the last episode, I fought against both the, I guess it was technically 2 episodes together. Episodes 5 and 6, I merged together as one episode, which is on YouTube as a shorter video. You can go watch the full VODs for episodes 5 and 6. 5 is actually split into 3 parts because I kept having internet troubles, but they're blatantly indicated as part 1, part 2, part 3. But if you want to watch through the whole thing and see everything, all the guts and the glory and all the mistakes I made while I was recording and stupid decisions there, you can go check that out. But if you want to see a tighter, faster paced narrative that just explains exactly what happened and gets you the gist of it without having to sit and dedicate yourself to a few hours of watch, episodes 5 and 6, I have a 20-minute video that I just released that explains what happened there. It covers finding the scroll, the rare scroll I talked about earlier, the sacred scroll. It covers beating the apprentice necromancer, and it covers beating the crocodilian. So that would catch you up very quickly if you wanted to watch that instead. And I wouldn't fault you. I understand that a long video, like a VOD like that, can sometimes be quite a sit. But anyways, let's get back to the game, because what I want to do now is I want to talk about what I'm going to do with these characters. So we've never run into the Crimson Curse situation, so there's a few things you need to understand about how the Crimson Curse operates. The first thing is, unlike every other disease in the game, which you can just take a person to the sanitarium and just drop them in here like this guy has an X, a red X there. Everybody has a red X there, even these characters. You might think, well, these guys have a disease. Yeah, usually the disease is a symbol in the bottom of their character portrait. It's like a green looking, I might have a character with it. I don't. But it's like a green little germ in their character portrait if they have a disease. When I have a disease, I usually take a person over here, drop them in the medical ward that takes care of them. You'll note these 3 characters, I can't do that with them, and you might wonder why. Well, the answer is because they're essentially not vampires, but bug pyres, I don't know. They're mosquito, they're infected by some kind of a thing. You can't get rid of it like that. You have to essentially sate their bloodthirst indefinitely until certain narrator-based events or certain events might give you the opportunity of dealing with it, but not immediately. You have to handle it early. Now, how do you handle it? Well, you need to give them blood. You're going to find blood vials when you go out and do missions, right? The key, though, is you want to make sure that you're not, keeping too many people around that are bloodthirsty, because you got to support them all. And you might think to yourself, okay, well, whatever, you have to give them blood while you're out on missions, it's not that big a deal. No. If you have the Crimson Curse, you need blood even when you're staying back home for the week, right? So people will gain a craving for blood even when they're home. The bloodthirst doesn't take a day off. You're going to keep on, needing blood. So you've got to make sure that you kind of min-max that and say, okay, I've got too many people that have the Crimson Curse. I need to let some of them go, even if it's a character you don't want to let go, because you don't have the capacity to feed them, and they might die from it. Because in this game, if the character kind of buried the lead there, didn't I? If you don't feed a person who has the Crimson Curse and who's thirsty, they may very well die. Hopefully we don't have to deal with any of that. That said, we're going to really quickly, not actually embark, but I'm going to show you something. If I go to provision, you can see here we have 7 vials of blood. That's all we have. So we have to like make sure that this is enough for the characters that we provision for. So if we bring these 3 characters with us, we're going to need to probably bring at least 3 vials of blood because they might all get hungry on the trip, and if they don't get it, they've only got so many. I think it's measured in steps. They've only got so many, I think it's steps, before they'll literally just die. Right? They go through different phases of thirst, but they will die. So you got to watch out for that. Now, let's go back and let's talk about what we're going to do now. So we have a wide open berth for what we can do now. Because we took out that crocodilian, we're no longer under pressure. The town events will trigger naturally. We get the chance of actually having regular events occur. But now we want to start focusing on maybe, well, like we've been doing, building the town up, but now we might start focusing on like taking certain characters and start, really working on them. Like maybe locking in some quirks or something like that, right? So I'm going to go through here and look at the guild. I usually don't lock quirks. This is just me. I usually don't lock quirks until I have most of these unlocked, right? Until I have some characters higher level. My main reason for that is because, again, I've talked about this hierarchy of investment in this game. You're far more likely to see returns on your investment if you just invest in the buildings, because the buildings are forever. The people are not, right? People die in this game. So investing a bunch of money to level up your characters and give them perks and lock in their quirks and all that, while on the surface might feel good because maybe you become attached to a character, don't do that. We've talked about that. It's actually probably better just invest in the buildings because it's what's the Aristotle quote? Time crumbles all things, right? Humans, your classes, your characters will die. Your buildings will be forever. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and do some stress release for these characters, which actually is a great opportunity to talk about one other thing. This hasn't come up yet, but if you notice here, you can see on the screen in the Abbey, you can see that there's a cloister. There's 3 slots. There's 3 slots for the transept. There's 3 spots for the penance hall. But we only have 1 unlocked for all 3. Right? Whereas over here in the tavern, we have the same thing. But it looks to be boarded up spots for 2 of them. That's because you can actually unlock additional slots. Maybe you have a bigger roster later and you want more than 1 person in there doing stress relief. An important thing to know, though, is if you send a person with the Crimson Curse, like Dismas, into a spot like the brothel, Contagion, cursed heroes who share the same building or activity as other heroes have a chance to pass the Crimson Curse to other people. Sharing that activity has the highest chance of contagion, right? So it says share a building or activity, and if they share an activity, it's the worst. So if I put Dismas in here, he can pass the Crimson Curse on to anybody in this whole building, from the bar, the gambling hall, the brothel. He's much more likely to pass it on, though, to somebody that's in the brothel alongside him, because they're very close to him, right? So you got to be very careful with that. You might not want to do that, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to keep that in mind and make sure that we kind of isolate these characters. So when Dismas is in here in the brothel, which is the only place he'll go, right? Because he says that he, as a, well, he's bloodthirsty. I was thinking he could only go to the brothel. No, he just can't gamble, right? Right now we have the caretaker who is in the bar, and Dismas would prefer to go to the bar, but, or I would prefer him to go to the bar because it doesn't cost as much. But if I put Dismas in here, it costs a lot less to send him to the cloister. But I might look at it really quickly here, though, if I can drop the price of that, which it looks like I can. I can reduce that treatment from 1,400 gold down by paying for this. I could drop it down to 1,190. And I might even take it a step further because I'm going to be using this cloister slot all the time, right? It's the lowest costing stress relief activity in the church. Abbey, I think that's what Abbey, yeah. But it's also pretty efficient to upgrade the lower costing ones first and then start to kind of work your way up to the transept, etc., and so forth. You might also look at this and think, well, yeah, you say that, but isn't this much more expensive to upgrade than this? Yes, but you have to remember, the initial investments I put into this increases the stress recovery. I haven't done that with this one. Reduces the treatment cost by 15%. I haven't done it with this one. If I put more into this, I'll now unlock an additional slot in the cloister, which is good because then the previous buffs will apply to that additional slot. So it actually is pretty good do this.
A man in a robe, claiming communion with the divine. Madness.
Now, you'll notice here now Dismas has a slot right beside him. Why did I do that? Well, the main reason is because I like to keep my people with Crimson Curse in like a separate rotation. If I have a person who has the Crimson Curse and another person that has a Crimson Curse, I'm going to try to send them to stress relief simultaneously. That way they can't infect each other, right? They're already infected. So I'm going to send Dismas there. And then I'm going to look at Maduit and see if I can put her in there as well. Looks like so. I can throw her in here as well. The neat part here is she like a lower level? Yeah. Hey, that might be what I remembered from a previous episode that I was talking about. Those of you that paid close attention to some of the stuff I'm saying might notice that I'm now excited because I just realized something. In the previous episode, I suggested that it actually costs less to remove quirks for people that are lower level, or to lock in a quirk for someone that's a lower level than another. And I was revealed to be completely wrong, and I was like, why do I have that memory? I think it's this. Dismas was level 3 and Maduit is level 2. Dismas just cost us 1160, I think it was. You can go back, I can't rewind this, but Dismas, though, only, I think it cost us 1100 and some change to stress relief here, whereas Maduit's only costing us 850. I think that's a function of their level. But we could check real quick by removing him and putting Romay back in there. We put Romay in here and she's at 1190. That's pretty close to what I was talking about. Is Reynold the same thing? He's also level 3. Oh, we can't even check him because he refuses to. He will only go to the transept and pray because he's super religious. Well, let's check Romay, who's level 3, and Reynold in the transept then. Reynold is 1750, Romay is 1750, but Maduit is only 1250. Yep, the level the character is affects how much the stress relief is. Okay, interesting. It doesn't work that way with locking traits, but it does for that's really interesting. So we're gonna send Reynold here. He can only go here, so we're gonna go ahead and stress relieve him. We're gonna do the same thing with Maduit here. Romay's not gonna go there though. We're gonna leave Romay out, and the reason for that is because it's gonna cost a lot to send her in here, 2100 gold, and she doesn't really have much in the way of, stress anyway. I don't want to spend that extra money if I don't have to. And realistically, I don't think I'm gonna probably have to worry about 4 stress on this character the same way I would on 2 characters like Reynold and Dismas, who are already afflicted. They're both afflicted with abuse. Maduit's almost there as well. So this is just a choice here. I'm thinking Romay's only got 4 stress or 40 stress out of 100. It's not that big of a deal. All right, now let's go back and look. Is there anybody else that I want to send in there? Well, I'm gonna go to Embark and I'm gonna make sure these characters are out of my group real quick here. And I'm going to see, after I sort by stress, it looks like Sinless needs to be stress relieved as well. Now, this character is obnoxious for stress relief. Well, his name is the Flagellant, right? Well, it turns out he will only go to the Penance Hall. Why? Because flagellation brings absolution. He will only go here. Now, I got to be careful with that, because right now, if I were to put him in there, he has a very high probability of getting infected by the Crimson Curse, because 3 people there are already infected. This would be a bad decision to put him in there. All right, now that's just from experience, and it also said that just a minute ago, right? We saw on there it said, "Hey, don't put a person with the Crimson Curse inside of a building with a person that has no Crimson Curse, because that person without it will highly likely get it." All right, let's go look at the Nomad Wagon, see what we got going here. We've got a Fleet Florin. The Antiquarian only. This is a rare item that increases her speed, but also increases her debuff skill chance. See, this is a very good item for her. Now, I say a very good item because obviously speed is just good on everybody. It just is. Lets you go before your opponents, etc. But the minus 20 or plus 20% debuff skill chance is solid. Well, why? Well, let's look at her real quick. If you look at her abilities here, it says debuff target right here on this ability. Festering Vapors. If there's a part at the bottom of the ability that's written in orange, debuff right here. She's got 2 debuff abilities. The first one is Flash Powder. We've actually not used this ability, but it says accuracy 95%, damage mod, it deals 0 damage. But it bypasses stealth and de-stealths the person who you can't see. Basically, she's throwing out like a powder that's gonna add particles so that an invisible person can be seen, because you can see the space that they're walking in, because the shrapnel or whatever is around them. The flashing powder is like making their silhouette visible. But it says here debuff target minus 10 accuracy. right? So you hit a target with this, they're less accurate. You hit them with it again, they get even more inaccurate. You hit them with it again, it gets even more accurate and more inaccurate. Why is that good? Well, obviously, you know, they can't hit you. You know, that's basically like the same thing as dodging. It's like the reverse of that, right? Same outcome, different way about it. Instead of giving everybody the ability to dodge, you make it so the opponent can't even attack or can't hit when they do attack. But this is a debuff target ability. It has a 95% chance of hitting, but if you get this item, which we just talked about here, this Fleet Florin, it's going to have a higher chance that that debuff lands. Something we really haven't talked about a lot, and I'm just going to make a comment here on that, is this. When an ability hits like this, so the Flestering, that's the Florin, the coin, that was what was in my head when I said that. The Flestering, we'll get there eventually, folks. Let's try one more time, man. The Festering Vapors, when you use Festering Vapors, it has a chance to hit, right? Does it deal damage? Then it checks, does it stack Blight? That's a separate check. Then it checks, does it stack the debuff? Each of those is a separate check, right? So if you hit your opponent, you hit your opponent. If you stack the Blight, you stack the Blight. If you debuff them, it checks them all separately in a row. If you use the Festering Vapors, though, you want to make sure that you actually apply the debuff. Well, this says that the debuff is minus 24% Blight resist, 110% of base. That's the chance that it hits, right? But if you go up and against an opponent that has 140% Blight resist, this ability only has a 110% chance to hit that person. You know, it's going to be very low chance that it actually hits, like 0% in this case if it's a real subtraction problem, the way that I believe it works. But if you have that item I was just referring to, that Florin coin, or Fleet Florin, this is going to make it so she's much more likely to apply the debuffs that you try to hit. So this is a solid item. I mean, I think it's decent. We already have the move stone. Again, I've explained multiple times why I'm not a fan of move skill chance. Protection against being moved. The reason I'm not is because in most cases, characters who get moved outside of a very few, like, you know, we talked about how it sucks if the leper gets knocked clear to the back because his mobility is only one slot at a time and he has no mobility moves. But there are a lot of characters in the game who actually have a mobility move. And if you're smart and conservative and not greedy, you'll slot at least one ability that lets your character move forward lets them move forward if they're a frontliner in case they get displaced. And if they're a backliner, you want an ability that, you know, lets them move back if that exists on the character. There are a few characters that have that. But I'm not huge on move resist. It's just I'm not a big fan. Caution Cloak, plus 10% scouting chance. Not bad. An item I'd wear if I found it, but I'm not super excited about it. Minus 10 speed is not the greatest. It's okay on a character like a healer who you want to go last so that you know what you need to do with your last move of the round, healing people. But ironically, it's bad on that character because those characters, healer classes like the Vestal, they don't have high base scouting chance anyway. So it makes more sense to put that skill on a character who has a high scouting chance so you can make them even more likely to scout. This is a weird item, just not a big fan. Defender Seal, plus 5% protection, okay. Minus 3% crit. Not that great, right? I think crit is a good stat. I think it's sneakily, we just saw it in the previous fight, right? We went up against the Apprentice Necromancer, and our Crusader crit for like, I don't remember what it was, like 27 or something insane. Crits can be huge, and to like remove all the chance of a crit is not that great, especially if it's just to get 5% protection. Because remember what protection does. If your opponent has an ability that hits for 20 physical or, like, you know, non-poison, non-bleed based damage, a regular physical ability, and you have 5% protection, well, 5% off of 20 is 1 damage. It just mitigates 1 damage. To get rid of all that crit in order to do that, I know that this is over time, right? It's going to add up over time. It does end up saving you some health, but I'd much rather just heal it than worry about protecting against it. I mean, don't get me wrong. If the protection was higher, maybe I'd care more. But I'm not sold on that. I do like the Fleet Florin, but I'm not sure if I'm 10,000 gold invested into it. So we're gonna skip what's here for this week, and then we're gonna look at the stagecoach. That'll be our last visit before we actually go out and do a mission. Let's see what we got here. We've got Roared. So we got this Hellion who is Weapons Tinkerer. That's fine. Skilled Gambler. Skilled Gambler is a pretty mediocre ability here, or quirk. It says increased chance of winning while gambling. So this is Like if you put your character in the bar, or I guess not the bar, what's it called here? The tavern. If you put them in the gambling hall, then it's going to give that character a higher chance of winning. Now, what does that mean? I'm going to be honest. I've never checked. It could be that they actually could win money there. I've never seen that. But what I think it does is it just increases the flat stress resistance or stress relief they would get that week from his event location. It's a very narrow quirk. It's fun. It's very flavorful, right? In terms of like, you know, you can, I want to say, I guess, role play a character. Maybe it's a good for that. But I'm not super excited about the ability overall. I think that it's pretty mediocre. I'd much rather have like a combat focused one or something else. Ruins Phobe, plus 20% stress in the ruins. I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff in general. Higher stress effects are pretty bad. Now, one upside to this though is this character in general is heavily focused on bleed and dealing massive amounts of damage to single targets. The ruins is heavily fortified against blood, right, or bleeding abilities. So it is not often the case that a Hellion is a character who I would want to bring with me if I was going to the ruins. So it's not the worst. That said, we might also want to consider bringing her with us because, oh no, we did hire one of these, and she had Scientific Dud Hitter, which isn't the greatest, and then Double Warren's abilities. I think this is better. We're going to skip this character for this week. I don't think it's that good. Let's see what the other characters have. Beast Hater. That's good. Especially on a character like this, because this character is a huge damage dealer, a huge DPS character. We had to get rid of the previous version of the Abomination we had, so it might be a good idea to take a moment to talk about this character. So the Abomination starts in human form and has access to the first 4 abilities in the slot. Once he uses this first ability called Transform, he will no longer have access to the next 3 abilities. Instead, they get replaced with the last 3 abilities. So he changes forms, he now has a different set of abilities. You might notice here that this character has all of his abilities unlocked right away, whereas most characters don't have that. Well, that's because every character in the game has access to 4 abilities when they start. Well, if he only had access to 4 abilities across the entire character, and one of them was Transformation, then he might only have 1 ability in Beast form and 2 in human form. Right, so you've got to make him have access to all 3 for both, otherwise he won't have 4 at all times in either form. So that's actually a hidden benefit for the Abomination class. You don't have to spend, at level 0, you don't have to spend any money to unlock that huge $800, I think it's $800 over here if we go to the, is it the Blacksmith or Guild? I think it's the Guild. Yeah, if we go to the Guild, it costs 800 money. 800 gold to unlock the occultist's first level. If he doesn't have access, he's never heard of the ability to use abyssal artillery, then you have to spend 800. That's a lot of money early on for a character, and it's not trivial, right, to unlock that ability. Whereas they're upgrading skills they already know, it costs very little. But with the Abomination, he knows all of his abilities from the very beginning, which is actually a hidden I don't want to say a buff, but a hidden advantage to this class. But one of the other things about this character is like super focused on 2 things. One, he just deals a lot of damage. So Rake is my favorite ability on this character. So Rake is an ability that he can use in one of the first 2 slots to hit the first 2 enemies in front of him. So he swings and hits 2 people. Has a 90% chance of hit. It only deals 50% damage compared to his normal thing. Well, that makes sense because it's split across 2 bodies. But it also has a crit modification that's lowered. And you're like, well, that's weird. It just can't crit. Yes, and you think that's very strange. Why would I want an ability that has a negative malice to crit on a character that's trying to hit for high damage? Well, because he doesn't crit with it, but every time he uses the ability, he buffs his future Rake to deal more than the previous one. So he just keeps hitting, and every time he hits, he's more persistent, and he's just beating them to death. This is a very strong ability, especially in a sustained battle against a target with a lot of health. A boss, or a group of enemies who make up like a boss or something like that, if there's a crew. In addition to all of that, we've also got Bile, Beast Bile, which is another good ability. Beast Bile, he pukes on his opponents and spreads, you know, an infection across all of them. So this is another really good ability that like allows you to kind of eat at the middle lines. There are a few characters in this game that have the ability to attack the back 2 lines, and there are some characters that have the ability to attack the first 2 lines. But uniquely, the middle 2 slots This character, the grave robber is like, darts. The what's his name? The jester's like little, scythe. He can attack the middle 2 slots. Attacking the middle 2 slots is a little bit more rare, I think, than most of the other abilities that attack 2 people. So that's actually pretty sweet. So this character, the ability to blight the middle 2, it's not trivial, because it's not just, oh, that's an interesting ability. It actually allows you to sometimes reach a boss that takes up 2 slots, and the 2 slots are the back 2 slots, so he can hit the front of that boss. If the boss takes up the front 2 slots, he still hits the back of the boss. Characters who can only hit the back 2 slots, if the boss is in the front 2 slots, you can't even hit him. So this kind of an ability is pretty solid. It really is. Now, obviously, the enemy has to be weak against blight, but, that's a whole other thing. But similar, another cool thing about this ability is every single time he blights it, he keeps on puking on you. It's like stomach acid. The more times he pukes on you, the weaker you get to it, right? He has the ability to debuff you and lower your future resistance to blight every single time. Anyway, looking at his abilities here, he's got Beast Hater, which is great because, when you take this character is trying to hit multiple targets at the same time. Well, locations like the Warrens have a lot of beasts, just same way as the Weald. But particularly the Warrens has a lot of beasts. The Pigmen live in the Warrens. The Pigmen are all beasts. So he's going to do a lot of damage against the Pigmen. He's going to do a great thing for us. If I bring him, he could be our Pigmen, killer, as it were. That's kind of what he wants to do anyways, is attack nonstop. Now, this is Nocturnal. We talked about this. -2 speed if the torch is above 75. That sucks. We don't want that. But it's okay. It's not the worst thing. We can kind of deal with it. We do want to get rid of that if we can, because, so it's a lot easier. A few things I want to make a comment real quick on, too, as well. Having bad good quirks and having bad quirks, which one is more annoying? It depends, but personally, I'm much more okay with having bad good quirks than bad quirks, because bad good quirks are quirks that are not that impressive in the good slot. They can be auto-rotated on their own and be replaced just by running into another random event with a curio or some other thing that will replace it by chance. But having a bad quirk, you need to get rid of it, because otherwise they're going to lock it in. They're just going to. At some point, it can be bad luck. Maybe you get lucky, and it doesn't happen. But in many cases, it's just going to lock in. You want to get rid of them. Nocturnal's not the greatest. The way I play, some people play differently, but I try to keep the torch up. And I think a lot of times, especially early game, there's no reason not to. So having -2 speed all the time, pretty annoying. All right, but he's probably worth taking regardless. Now, what we're going to do really quickly is I'm going to take a quick second here to see whether or not we have the ability to upgrade our hero barrack size. We don't. We need 2 more deeds to do that. So we don't have the ability to just very quickly pick up an extra person and just throw them in the team. Because we have a full roster up at the top of the screen. You can see here I'm hovering over this character. Right above this character it says full. We have a full roster right now. Now let's look and see what other characters we have here. See what we're thinking. Now might be a good time to start thinking about what I want to do long term with some of these characters. If I want to start like upgrading them and giving them the ability to kind of lock in some good skills. I might go ahead and for the first time pick a character. I promised a long time ago it was going to be Centerpont as our first person, and we locked in something, so we're going to do that. She's already locked in Luminous. I forgot I did that. So I'm going to double down on that, and I'm going to lock in Hot to Trot as well. And I'm going to get rid of her, the yips, -5 accuracy. I hate minus accuracy. It is, to me, it's one of the worst things you can get, so we're getting rid of that right now. Now that's 7,200 gold. That's a lot of money. But you pick a character, you work on them, you make one character solid, and then you slowly make those characters better over time. Now you might think to yourself, I thought earlier you said that you wanted to upgrade the guild and do these things first. You're right, I do, but I don't have the ability to buy this right now. I don't have enough crests to do this. And over here in the blacksmith, I don't have enough crests to do this. I do have the ability to do this, right now. But let's say I take a character, put him in here. A lot of our characters already have the next tier up. Not all of them, but I could do this. And I mean, it's not bad. Sure, it doesn't cost any money to do this, so I could see certainly doing this.
A sharper sword, a stronger shield, anything to prolong a soldier's life.
So, now this ability down here I did with the furnace, I upgraded the furnace so that future upgrades, if you might not have seen this, again, you could look back. A few seconds ago, this was more expensive to upgrade this. I want to caution anybody that does this, just in case, because you're going to feel really bad if you do this in the future. It's a great idea to make sure that when you go to upgrade a character's abilities or their armor or weapons and all that other stuff, I don't mean their trinkets, I don't mean these things. I mean the character specific, essentially their stats. That's really what this is behind the scenes. Make sure you don't just upgrade them because you have the opportunity to. Right? That's going to make you feel really bad when you realize that you don't have the money to buy the things you really need. Only upgrade them when you're bringing that character with you that week. That's just a piece of advice, right? Because there's no reason to. You're not getting any immediate value out of it, right? You are not getting any immediate value out of it, upgrading them ahead of time. So keep the money because there might be another item later on that you want a little bit more. It's kind of an opportunity cost question. But anyway, let's think about who we want to bring, and then we'll go ahead and upgrade them, right? That's how I kind of operate in this. We already looked at the items here. We said there wasn't anything here we wanted. We looked here and we said that maybe we want to get this guy. Unholy Slayer is actually pretty cool. Fear of Beast is actually fine, even though it's not a good ability. A lot of times I'm going to be bringing this character, right? This Plague Doctor character, who we already have one down here. I'm oftentimes going to be bringing the Plague Doctor with us whenever we go to the ruins. Now, if you look at the ruins here, if you look at Vaughn, or Vaughn, or whatever, Vaughn, I'll just call him Vince. If you get that reference, you're over 30 probably. But Satanophobia sucks. Weak Grip is just fine because this character is almost always going to be doing, ranged. Unyielding, it's fine, but I don't really want my character to be at death's door most of the time anyway, so this is kind of like a non-starter. I don't even want this because it's basically admitting that my character is going to be low health all the time. I'd rather just keep them off of that. But this character might be a good one-for-one trade because Meditator improves the stress reduction while meditating and camping. I don't really care so much about that, but I really do like Unholy Slayer. Because this character really shines in the ruins, it might be worth just getting this and bringing this character. And it's an easy trade because this character doesn't really have very many abilities unlocked. Actually, in fact, has no abilities unlocked other than the base stuff, same way as this character. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to get rid of Vaughn. Oops. Why can't I do that here? Is it because I'm inside of the purchase? Yeah. So while I was inside of this, I couldn't get rid of this character. Oh, now I can. Whatever. It's fine. Get rid of Vaughn.
Another soul battered and broken, cast aside like a spent torch.
There wasn't anything really truly wrong with that character. I just think that this character is a strict upgrade to that character. So, and it's the same class, and they both have the same cost and all the same levels right now, so there's no real loss to having this character.
What better laboratory than the blood-soaked battlefield?
Now, funnily enough, we also have Adony, which is the other Plague Doctor that we already had, and this character also had some kind of a ruin-specific ability, but that's okay. Actually, this character's abilities kind of suck. Infirm's not great, minus healing, extra stress for no reason. Ruins Explorer's cute, but not that important. We already talked about these characters. I'm not too impressed by this character, not in general. I mean these roles. And if I had to choose between Vipont and Rord, I would take Vipont or Rord, or over Rord, even though I do think Rord is a pretty cool name. Theon, I do want to take, though. I would like to get rid of somebody and bring that character. Let's look at the leper, because we have two lepers. Oh yeah, look at this leper. He has early riser, which is great, and then he has like 50 bad abilities. Right? Deviant tastes. Actually, I don't care too much about. Unquiet mind. Actually, neither of these are bad. Weak grip sucks. Infirm sucks. Right? I'm not a big fan of those. I don't like his ability. I do like early riser, but I think he has two really bad abilities, and I say really bad. I'm not a big fan of Infirm. This guy has a built-in self-heal, so this is going to make that weaker, and then he also just gets less healing in general. So he's not going to get healed by the occultist. He's not going to get healed by the Vestal. It doesn't matter. He's just not getting healed very much. It lowers his ability to do other abilities. It'll every fifth or sixth ability, he'll have to waste an extra turn to heal if he's healing himself, because he's going to be missing a little bit every single time, right? It actually literally is every fifth one, right? Because you add, anyway, minus 20% 5 times is minus 100%. So every fifth time he heals himself will have done nothing compared to the version of him that actually didn't have Infirm. Weak grip, minus 5% crit on melee skills. This guy is fully melee, and this guy crits like crazy. Crit mod plus 5%. That makes weak grip does nothing. It literally takes his plus crit mod of plus 3% and makes it negative 2%. This is awful. I'm going to get rid of this guy. I'm not a huge fan, unless I get rid of that ability. Palmera, or not Palmera, but Evelyn, on the other hand, has Photomania and Eldritch Hater. Both fantastic. Bad Healer, same thing, minus 20% healing skills. Now, that's actually slightly better, though, than Infirm. Infirm is minus 20% healing received total. Bad Healer is minus 20% healing skills for him just himself. If a Vestal healed Evelyn, Evelyn would heal. It's weird to say Evelyn. Evelyn, I often associate with a girl's name, so that's strange to me. I think this character's a guy. Whatever. But the Bad Healer would only affect his own ability, right? Whereas with Palmera, Palmera is just getting less healed by everything, including his own abilities and teammates' abilities. So, Stress Eater, I don't really care that much about, but I really do like Eldritch Hater, and I think Photomania are great. I think those are two very, very good abilities, quirks. So if I was going to get rid of a character, it'd probably be Palmera. If I had to choose between one of those two classes, although it's not required that it be one of those two. Let's take a quick look at the Flagellant, though, because we have two Flagellants, too. So we have one that's a level 1, and the other one is also a level 1. Okay, one has slow reflexes, which isn't great, and early riser, which is good. Faded is junk. I don't know how much of a chance this increases to not miss. So I don't know. I can't like an ability when I don't even really know what it does. Plus 15% when in wield. Interesting, and also relevant on this character because the wield is super weak against bleed, and this character is all about bleed. So there's some synergies going here. Then you can look down here at Burners. Burners has Eldritch Slayer, top tier. Claustrophobia is junk. Dud Hitter, junk. I like both these characters, though. I'm going to be honest with you. I like both of those first abilities, and it's not too expensive to get rid of bad perks. I'd be much more worried about one of these bad perks being already locked in. So it's not bad to keep one of those characters. Let's look and see what else we got going on here. Is there anybody else I'd rather get rid of? It's an interesting question here. I think really we're talking about margins at this point. It really doesn't matter that much. I just need to pick a character and just kind of roll with it, or just accept that the character is not going to, robust, faithless. I like this character because faithless and guilty conscience. Guilty conscience sucks, but faithless is a great thing to roll because I don't care about the character praying or flagellating. This character can just go to the bar. It's like that's not even a big deal. Worried Delight is great. So at this point now, what I'm considering more is what character do we need on our team? And the answer is I don't need an additional I don't need 2 lepers right now. I really just need 1. Similarly, I don't need 2 flagellants. I really just need 1. So the question is, what's the worst flagellant? What's the worst leper? And get rid of one of them. That's really where we are right now. This one, again, has early riser. I do like it. Slowly reflexes is whatever. Will tactician's good. So we've got 2 decent abilities, 2 mediocre abilities. I say 1 really good ability, 1 okay ability, and 2 whatever, or, kind of crappy abilities that I'd rather re-roll. Whereas with Burners, he has Eldritch Slayer, which is fantastic. That's 1 good ability. And then a bad ability in Claustrophobia, and then Dud Hitter, which is also a bad ability. So I don't like that. Now, the Leper, we said earlier, has just Early Riser and then a bunch... But he has Deviant Tastes and Unquiet Mind and Weak Grip. This looks really bad because this character flat out just has 4 bad abilities. You might think, oh yeah, we'll get rid of this character. He just has all these bad abilities. Not so fast. I actually really like it when my characters develop their bad perks early, because if I can get them to develop good bad quirks, in this case like Deviant Tastes, then I can get rid of the bad quirks like Infirm and Weak Grip, and then keep bringing that character with us until they start locking in the bad quirks that are preferred. Right? Then I have that character with me at all times, and they are not going to let me down by developing worse quirks that, could... There's always going to be a bit of flux there because you can only have 2 quirks. Well, you can only lock in 3, and the other 2 are just going to be whatever happens. But I'd much rather have 3 good bad quirks locked in than 5 random ones that, can lock in at any moment. I can lock in 3 bad ones of them. Is there any consideration to getting rid of one of these grave robbers? Is a question here. Early Riser is good. Backtracker is mediocre. Fear of Mankind is bad. This character's already level 1, though. No, all the other characters I'm comparing this to are already a level 1, too, so that doesn't matter. I guess we could consider getting rid of Furnival. That's an interesting name. But I think this character's fine, actually, too. We talked about how I don't think Diurnal's that big of a deal. I think Photomania is incredible, and these two actually synergize with each other. Having my torch above 75% is what I want with this character, because we already talked about that. Yeah, I don't know. I might just flip a coin. I mean, literally. I'm not getting rid of this character. I think this character's too good. I want to get rid of bad healer and all that stuff. So it's probably one of my 2 flagellants. Unless it's... How good is Early Riser? It's okay. Deviant Taste is great. Not allowed to visit the... That's fine. That's an expensive... Deviant Taste that's an expensive thing anyways. May not meditate. That's fine. Yeah, I think that character's going to stay. We're going to get rid of a Flagellant. Which one of the 2 now? Early Riser I like. Slow Reflexes I don't. Let's get rid of Sinless. Or Sinless. I'm going to get rid of Sinless for a number of reasons. The first one is he's got the most stress. And this is just one thing I don't have to worry about. But you could also make the argument that he has the most amount of bad quirks to develop. He's only got 1 good quirk, and that's Early Riser, which is good, but we're comparing good perk to good perk to good perk. All 4 of these characters, the 2 lepers and the 2 flagellants we were looking at, had at least 1 good developed quirk. But in this case, he's also got a lot of stress and also doesn't have any bad quirks yet that developed, and the 1 quirk that he has that's bad, Slow Reflexes, I'm not a fan of. Lowered Speed is forever, and it's annoying. So, we're going to get rid of Sinless, although I really like his name. I might actually change Burger's name to Sinless, so I'm going to be honest with you.
Send this one to journey elsewhere, for we have need of sterner stock.
I actually really like that name, Sinless. Sinless is such a clever name for a character who's like super like religious and like a religious zealot fanatic. That's actually a really clever name. I need to pay more attention to that. That's something I was thinking about the other day, actually. If you're watching the video, I might actually do this right now because there's a few characters I know. I might take one of these characters eventually, maybe Furnival or maybe Reynold. I've got a person who watches my channel, has been commenting on all of these videos. His name is Cole. He really likes the Crusader, so maybe I'll rename Reynold or one of these characters to Cole. Although he probably wouldn't like that at the same time. He'd be nervous nonstop that character would die. So, but I'll ask him. We'll see what he thinks. Maybe in one of the chat conversations or something. We'll see what he says. All right, let's look at the rest of this and see if there's anything else I want to do. No, I think we're pretty well good. I just want to go in there and I'm going to play. I think actually I'm looking at my live stream right now. I've been talking for an hour about the game before. I love this game so much. I could talk for 2 or 3 straight hours before even getting into the game. Just looking at the Hamlet, talking about talking about the classes, what they do. I could do that all day. Heck, I haven't even grabbed Theon. I forgot to grab him. Here we go.
Tortured and reclusive. This man is more dangerous than he seems.
Yeah, he's a beast. He turns into a beast. So, I think that might be who we bring with this time. Again, we have total domain of control over what we do this time. We're no longer beholden to we've got to go deal with the crocodilian because the dude is ruining our day on the weekly events. We're also not forced to walk and go into the ruins and take out a guy because we want to get rid of this guy so we can earn the sacred scroll item. We're not forced to go do that mission. And then you've got one other thing going on too. Now our guys are starting to actually hit that. We've got some guys that are level 1, a decent amount of guys that are level 1. So I'm not as afraid of going up against the thing from the stars, as I've mentioned it before. So let's look at here. So we got the thing from the stars up here in the ruins. We're not going to go there this time probably unless this item's really good. No, we're not going there. We've already got 2 archer's rings, I believe. Yeah. I should probably filter this. Sort by rarity. Yeah, we've already got 2 archer's rings. There's really no reason to go there. Actually, this is another good thing to talk about too. It's usually a good idea to sell your duplicate items because you're never really often, you can, but it's not common for a person to slot more than a person from the same class. So a item that's specific to a class, like a Plague Doctor only item, there's really no reason to have more than one of them, right? Especially if you're being smart about it and removing your items from your characters between rounds. And we've talked about why that's a good idea, right? Because we saw in the very first week, we had one of our Plague Doctor characters, or actually our starting Plague Doctor character, after 1 week, we earned one item, one thing. The character lost our first wind, English is hard. Our Plague Doctor lost our very first earned treasure from one of our missions, because we left it on that character and then sent that character to go drink for the week, and then he just lost it while out partying or whatever. So it's generally a good idea to, let's just say, rent your items to your heroes. But there's also another upside to that. Eventually, when I go in here and I go to the main town and I go down to the blueprint section, if I eventually go and do what I'm going to eventually do, which is buy the bank here, then every additional item you've sold will slowly snowball your earnings, right? Because you get a percentage of how much money you have total back every week. Oops. Anyway. Talked a bit, I'd like to play. So let's look at the items that are available and talk about what we're going to do here. So over here in the courtyard, we see that the item that you would win here if you went here is the Lioness War Paint. Hellion only. Crimson Core only item, of course, and you can tell that because it has this golden border. I like the color about all of this. As you can tell, the Blue Titan is my channel name. I love this color. It's like a kind of a cobalt blue. All right, plus 20% damage if your HP is below 75%, plus 20% damage if your HP is below 50%, and plus 20% damage if your HP is below 25%, and plus 10% stress, plus 7 accuracy, plus 7 dodge. Okay, if you're reading this and you're thinking, why does it waste time or waste space by restating that the character gets plus 20% damage in each of those ranges? That seems redundant. They're saying that when your character is above 75% health, they get no bonuses, but below 75%, they'll get a static 20% damage buff, and then below 50%, an additional 20% damage buff, and then an additional 20% above below 25%. When the character is close to death's door, this Hellion character is going to be dealing 60% more base damage. That's not a joke. And has high accuracy, and has high dodge. This is an incredible item. I'm a huge fan of this. Downside is we can't get it. Why? Because this event is the main courtyard quest. You can see the blood underneath it. You can see right here, underneath it, it has blood. This is like the long mission. Right? Earlier when I was in a previous episode when I was talking about how I thought you could like leave the courtyard whenever you want and come back because it's a long, you know, kind of a legacy long campaign where you have to go for a long period of time and they'll let you come back where you started or where you left off. This is when it starts now. So unfortunately, even if we did this mission and we would push really far, we're not going to be able to beat this entire mission right now. And you can see that because look over here. Look at all these missions. Look at the far left side for the description. This is the only ability. It doesn't say short link. It doesn't say medium. It doesn't say long. It says epic. It's a long mission. We're talking multiple sessions. I'm gonna have to go there and leave multiple times. We're not gonna be able to just do that all in one mission. So, all right. Let's look and see what other things we got going here. Life Crystal, plus 20% max HP. I've already expressed that I'm not a huge fan of extra. Wow. Okay. I've already expressed that I'm not a big fan of extra HP items. I just don't think they're that great. Most of the time, the characters who would benefit from additional health already have high flat base health, and it's like win more, if that phrase makes any sense to you. Your character's already good at that. Why give them more of the same thing? Why not shore up their weaknesses instead? So I'm not a huge fan of that. We could go here. See, look at this mission on the far left side. This is morbid entertainment. The Baron invites you to join his Twisted Games. That's the boss that we'll have to go eventually fight there. But we don't have to worry about it right now because the curse-carrying insects that have begun to spread all over the entire estate, their infestation levels are low, and we don't have that many people that are infected, and we can actually handle the Crimson Curse right now. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to do some other things for now. We're going to kind of ignore the infection until we start to really deal with some of the ramifications. Until we get some more people infected, it's not a problem. Over here, we can go to this location if we wanted to. This is a short mission, right? Like any other regular mission out here. This one is a short mission. Activate 3 Winemaker's Reserves. So what does this mission do? This mission will be our go-to stop anytime we want to make sure that we have some blood. So as the game progresses, we're going to get more people infected. They're going to get this little Crimson Curse symbol. What you want to do is once your characters start to get infected more is you want to go and do a mission called Gather the Blood. It will always be there, and it will allow every single week it will be there. You go there and you'll be able to gather some blood. As it says, the cursed heroes shake, whinge, and plead for more blood. This accursed fluid can only be found reliably in the courtyard. Seek crates marked with the winemaker's reserve, right? This is where you'd go to get that. And I think you can usually get out of there with 6 to 9 extra like blood, which is like 2 or 3 weeks worth of supply in most cases. So another thing here is this item, the rot gut sensor. So this is a plague doctor item, common item. You can find it a lot of times, but it gives extra accuracy and minus 5% HP. As I said, I don't really care about HP debuffs. To me, that just reads free remove, like free negative stat. I don't really care about that. So this is just plus 8 accuracy. If I had that item already, I would slot it on a plague doctor, but I don't need the blood right now, so we're not going to go there. I'm not exceedingly hyped about going there just to gather blood. We don't really need blood right now. I'd much rather spend my time getting the best item that I can possibly get, and I'm going to look around and see what that is. We already said life crystal, not a fan. Okay, the bright tambourine, specifically a jester item. You can only get it if you have medium people with us. Now, we can't do this mission full stop anyway, because we only have... I'm focused, ready for action. Oh, so maybe she can do that. Hold on, is this a medium? This is a veteran. Maybe, let's look at level 0. I expected this character to complain. I feel this task is beyond me, yeah. So, it might be the case that like a character like this, I gotta look and see what it is, but I can't remember the limits. It's been a while, like the min-max and all this. I can't really remember, but I know that the higher the mission level, veteran 3 here, medium, whatever. The medium is the length. The veterancy, the level on the far left side of the screen over here, where it says explore, the veterancy of the mission, like how difficult it is, actually dictates who can actually go to it. Not just kind of, like, oh, you should, it's a general guide. If your character's level 2, they can go do level 2 missions or whatever. It's actually, I believe, I've been wrong on my memory on this game before, but I'm pretty sure that your character actually takes additional stress if they go to missions that are beyond them. And I don't even, there's no reason to test that. Maybe that'd be something worth testing on a separate account, but I don't need to put extra stress on my characters just to prove a point. I already did that in the very first episode when I dug up the rubble to show how, important shovels were. Don't do that. Alright, anyway. Let's look at this item, Bright Tambourine. A jester-only item, it is rare. Whatever. Minus 25% stress in general when your torch is above 75. Alright, but you get plus 15% stress whenever the torch is below 51%. Plus 20% to stress skills. What does that mean? Well, the jester has the ability to play his little banjo or whatever it is. He has, where's that? Yeah, Inspiring Tune. He's a bard. If you know D&D or if you play Dungeons & Dragons, he's a bard. He's more of an assassin at the same time, but he plays a little banjo and gets everybody, I guess that's not a banjo. What is that? Is that a mandolin? Is that what that's called? I'm going to look that up right now. Mandolin. Is it a mandolin? It might be. But it's a hole in it. So it kind of looks like a guitar. I don't know what that is. If you know what that instrument is, comment it in the comments, because it's impossible for me to go find out what that, I guess I could go to Google or something like that and try to figure out thing that looks like a guitar with a hole in it that's not a guitar. I don't know. But anyway, the point I was trying to make though was this character plays this ability in minus 13% stress on a target, but he also has the ability to flat out just remove 9 stress. Inspiring Tune, this ability. If you target a teammate, since it's level 2, it has a higher version of it. That's what the 2 means on the Inspiring Tune part. I'm covering so many things at the same time. Let me. This ability, if you look below it, it says it's level 2. It says Inspiring Tune 2, right? Because it's the second level of it. It has minus 9 stress, so if you target a teammate, it's going to remove 9 stress from them instantly. But then it also buffs them to receive 13% less stress from future stress that would affect them. I think it's for 2 or 3 rounds or whatever it is. So, why is that good? Well, looking at this ability, plus 20% extra relief whenever he uses the Bright Tambourine. This is a solid item. I would use this if I was playing the Jester as more of a support class, which is very good at. He's very good at that. So let's look at the immovable helmet. It is a bounty hunter item, common, plus 30% move resist, plus 20% move skill chance. not that bad, right? He has the ability to throw out a hook and pull the enemy. That's pretty solid. We don't have a bounty hunter right now, though, so we don't really care about that. Book of Relaxation, minus 10% stress, plus 4 accuracy, minus 4 dodge. I'd wear that in quite a few characters. I'm a fan. So that might be worth going to do. It's a medium. We can do that, or we do the Bright Tambourine. The problem with the Bright Tambourine is I would want to bring my level 3 characters. Right? This is an orange quest, which means its veterancy is higher. So I'm going to skip this one and wait till we have at least 2 guys that are level 3 with us. 3 of our guys that are level 3 are currently in the doctors, right? Or they're praying for help. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and do, I think this time, we're going to go ahead and do this Book of Relaxation one, because it's the only one I actually like outside of perhaps the Rock Gut Sensor, which is fine. That's what I think I want to do. I'm going to go to the Cove. So let's pick a comp that makes sense for the Cove. Now, generally, we've talked about this. The Cove, you want to bring people that are good at Blight, because the enemies are, well, I don't really have a justification in the same way I can for saying, like, hey, you can't bleed bones, so the Ruins is obviously going to have Blight as its weakness, but memory experience, I can tell you, the Cove is a place you want to bring Blight for, and armor penetration, because there are snails that have, like, armor, so you want to bring a character like, let's say, the Grave Robber. The Grave Robber has the ability to deal extra damage against blighted characters, and has the ability to throw out poison darts that do blight characters. So we're going to bring a Grave Robber with us. Maybe I should bring Centerpont, because Centerpont is... Oh, actually, no. I was going to put this person in there to train, wasn't I? We forgot about that. Let's put Centerpont in here and train her, give her hot trot, remove the yips. So now next week she's going to have 2 locked-in abilities forever. Now some people will again look at that and be like, why are you like developing one character so much? Because I can kind of protect that character. I'll try to make sure that character doesn't go on missions that I'm worried about. And start to build a team of people who I know I can kind of like always rely on. And other characters, I'll look at them as kind of like reusable or usable resources, I guess. What's the word for that? Whatever. Disposable resources. That sounds awful. But is what I'm doing. Whatever. Okay. But anyway, so she's busy. We're going to bring Concert, though. Now, I guess I should say, I should probably check and make sure that her abilities are leveled up as much as they can be for this location, which we already can see here. I'm going to bring Poison Dart, so we should pick that here now. Plus 23% additional damage versus Blighted on Thrown Dagger, so we'll keep that. Shadow Fade makes her move back to, so that might be worth keeping. No, she's going to be our frontliner, so we're going to get rid of Shadow Fade and we're going to give her Poison Darts. Flashing Daggers gives minus 23% bleed resistance. We don't want this. So maybe Shadow Fade. But I already know that she has an ability called Pick the Face. We've seen that before. It's armor piercing. It ignores any armor on a character. So she's going to be up front. We need to unlock this ability. So we're going to do that here in just a second. But before we do that, let's create the rest of the team. I know for a fact that I want to bring this guy. Well, why? Well, because his first ability here, Sacrificial Stab, as well as last ability here, I think. Maybe it's not this last ability. Maybe it's only one ability. 2 of them. Actually, there are 2 of them. It's these first 2. These first 2 abilities deal additional damage versus Eldritch. Well, the entire Cove is Eldritch people, so we should bring him when we can. Next, we could also bring the Plague Doctor if we wanted to, because the Plague Doctor does, well, Blight. So it's probably also worth bringing. You don't have to always min-max this, but it's good when you can. So I'm going to move our Plague Doctor back, and I'm going to use this as a perfect opportunity to level up our Abomination, because our Abomination does Blight damage as well. So we'll put him up front. League of the Damned. What a cool name. Total Chance just moved him around, and that's this team's name. League of the Damned. That's cool. All right, now let's step back. Let's sort this class, or these people, and let's make sure that we have these people as leveled as we can possibly get them. Well, his abilities are all unlocked at the very start. Let's see her. We want to unlock Pick to the Face. We said that because it does armor piercing, so she'll deal full damage to tanked people, and we'll need her to focus those while the Abomination just deals enormous amounts of damage to single targets, or to every other target. So we'll go ahead and level that up, and then we'll also put extra points in the Blight darts. Cure Blight, Cure Bleed, increase her dodge. This is a cool ability, but we don't really care about that right now. All right, now Chartres, which is our crazy occultist guy. We're going to go ahead and give him Abyssal Artillery, which deals extra damage versus the Eldritch. We're going to unlock that and level it up. We're also going to upgrade his... I'm not going to upgrade his Sacrificial Stab because he's not going to be in the front lines. I'm going to make sure his heal is as high as it can get. Yeah, sure. How about Hands of the Abyss? Stun. This is an interesting ability. Hands of the Abyss. Stuns the target, but also decreases the torch. Right? Because he believes in the occult. He's like the reverse of the Vestal, right? He's like a twisted version of the Vestal. All right. Vulnerability Hex is cool, but we don't really have enemies. The Cove enemies are slower. They're like water. They're like mollusks and things like that. They're not fast. They're just like obstinate and armored. So I'm not really worried about their ability to dodge. That'd be like if we were at the Warrens the Wheel. There'd be dogs and like pig men that are running around. The thing I care about is armor, so I'm going to bring Weakening Curse because Weakening Curse is going to get rid of the protection and lower the damage because we have characters here who do a lot of damage and are very tanky. I'm also going to bring Demon's Pool here. Demon's Pool, if your pronunciation is up to you. But I'm going to bring this Demon's Pool ability because the ability to clear all corpses is not to be underestimated. I think people sometimes forget that there are abilities that do this. The ability to clear all the corpses that are in your way, all in one ability, is actually sometimes a good utility skill. We'll keep that, and then the last one is we're going to go and throw Adney in here. Adney needs to have Blight stuff. It's probably a good idea to also bring the stun stuff here too. This is not a boss, so I'm not worried about the buffing of emboldening vapors. All of our characters have the capacity to deal a lot of damage, so I don't care about that. I don't need to deal additional damage. I'd much rather have the ability to stun when I need to, and this stuns 2 targets, so it's pretty solid there. This is the team I want. I do want to switch Vulnerability Hex over for Abyssal Artillery. And I want to switch over probably Shadow Fade with Pick to the Face. Now, a person might look at this and go, well, she'll never get the chance to use Lunge 2, though. She's in the second slot. Why would you do this? Because if she gets moved back, she can then use it to get back to where she needs to be. Right? I'm not using it as an ability to fight. I'm using it as an ability to replace my location, or I guess displace, to get back to where I was displaced from. Right? That's why I'm doing it. These other abilities all synergize with or inflict blight or are very well suited for this location. We will see that when we go in. And I think we're ready. I've talked enough here, been live here now for an hour and 20 minutes, which was intentional, as I said at the beginning of the video. I am trying to be a lot slower and intentional with my explanations so that a person that's never played this game or feels like I'm going too fast has the opportunity to follow me along. So that's just the way things are going to be. Unapologetically. Let's go over and select the right quest. We're doing this one, right? We talked about we're going to go over here. Another reason why I highly optimized to make sure that the team that I brought with us actually had the right things to deal with this location is because I knew this location was a longer mission. It's a medium one, whereas this one is a short one. We're going to it's a longer quest, right? So we want to be a little bit more prepared. Now let's look and see what items we can equip. He is a frontliner. This is the first time we'll be able to actually use the surgical gloves, right? Extra crit to melee abilities, that's all he's going to be doing up front, our Abomination. He's going to be slapping people with, forgot its name, what's it called? I want to say Thrash. That's a Pokemon ability. Thrash is something that Gyarados does, and he keeps thrashing and dealing more damage. It's the same kind of thing. Rake. You attack and you deal more damage the next time. That's what Thrash did on Gyarados, that's what Rake does here on our Abomination. Anyway, I'll put on the surgical gloves because it increases his crit on attacks and increases his accuracy on this melee. He's just going to be meleeing nonstop. He also has minus 20% move resist, so he's not going to get knocked back as easily, which is good. He also has debuff resist, which, I'm sorry, he has minus 20% debuff resist, so he's going to get hurt more. But, I'm sorry. Minus 20% move resist, not plus 20% move resist. This actually makes it more likely for him to get moved. Well, I guess the one upside of this is we do have her ability. She does have the ability to get up there really quick. It's not that big a deal. It's still a lot. That's a lot of crit, so I'm going to put that on him. Critting for at plus 8% crit on melee. Oh my god, that's a lot. That's 1 in 10 attacks will crit. Plus his base, right? Actually, exactly it's 10. His base crit is 2%. This will make his base crit, well, some total crit. Now, 10%. So every 10 abilities he will crit, on average. Other than that, he's not stunning anything. Since he's up front, it might be a good idea. Plus 20% to stun resist. Maybe we'll give him this. Plus 50% move skill chance. No, this is, again, another trap. This doesn't increase his chance to not move. This increases his chance for his abilities that move other opponents to work. So he does have an ability, Ram, I think it is, that to move an enemy, but we're not going to be using that much. Slam, not Ram. Well, he moves forward 1, and he knocks back an opponent 2. Actually, he has an ability that moves him forward. I forgot. So if he gets displaced, it's not as bad as it would be for, like, a leper. Alright. Let's make an item for this guy. He's not using ranged abilities. He's not stunning enemies. I think probably stun resist or protection. Since he's up front, we'll give him protection. Why? Well, because frontliners usually end up getting hit the most by the frontliners on the opponent's side that are usually more likely to attack the tanks. And so being able to save 1 health every single time he takes 20 damage. Right, not bad. Go to her, we'll look at her. She doesn't actually really have any good items for her. Now we can use the absinthe, right? Plus 35% disease resist, fine. I mean, diseases do happen in the Cove. Plus 35% blight resist. They can blight, but not that much. But 35% blight skill chance. She's gonna hit everybody. Every time she throws a dart, they're getting blighted. So that's cool. Also, Archer's Ring, plus 5% to any ranged abilities. This is great for her. Just look at the Plague Doctor. Well, we already know we have the plus 40% blight skill chance, minus 50% max HP, but the 40% blight skill chance is crazy. But he also has his own ability here too, or she has a Witch's Vial, so plus 15% skill chance. This is great. This character already has the items this character's going to need moving forward. Now, we just got the Occultist's Cursed Incense a few episodes ago, or I think it was last episode. Plus 40% debuff skill chance. Great. We want that. Now, anything else we want to get here? Range skills, range accuracy? Yeah, we'll do that. And I think we are ready to go. Let's get in there. Now, at the Cove, I usually try to bring about 4 shovels, 3 to 4 shovels, something like that. I also try to bring medicinal herbs pretty much everywhere I go. Maybe 1 holy water. I think there's one thing at the Cove. There's like a stream or a fountain or like a little pool you can, like, you know, use holy water on if memory serves, but most of the time holy water is pretty weak here. There's not a lot to do with that here. We do want to bring some keys. I usually try to bring 1 or 2 keys for a short mission, 3 for a long or short medium mission, and maybe 3 or 4 for the longest mission. Bandages are useful because the forget their name, the guys that do spear fishing, right? They're like the, what are they called? Some, like a grouper or something? I don't know what they are. They're like kind of an evil-looking merfolk guy. They're blue. They stab people. They have spear fishing. That ability I think it can bleed. All right, let's get our torches. It's a longer mission. It's a medium mission, so I always bring 8 for a short, 12 for a medium, and 16 for a long. That's just what I do. Again, your choice is going to be different than mine, but that's what I think is good. And then I'm going to bring, normally bring same exact stacks, 8 for a short, 12 for a longer mission. I'm going to bring 14. The reason I'm going to do this is because I have no guarantee. I don't have any dedicated healer. This guy's going to be healing for sure, but his healing is weird, which might even make me want to consider bringing the bandage. Actually, this guy has battlefield medicine, so good combo here. I've talked about this before, but having an occultist that can heal a lot and then accidentally bleed people occasionally, alongside a plague doctor that can get rid of that bleed, is a pretty good combination. So we're pretty well set there. I don't think there's anything else I really want to bring here. I brought the shovels. Probably should have just left it in order instead of making this more confusing for you and me. Yeah, I think we got everything we want. Nobody needs the blood in our team, so we don't need to bring any blood with us, so we can leave that back. I think we're good. Let's do this. The rolls will explode if left for too long. We talked about that in a previous episode. There's a guy who kind of looks like the swamp thing, or maybe this just like this. Honestly, he just looks like a fat guy that just a dead corpse that laid in the water and then just slowly bloated from absorbing all the water. If you're a League of Legends fan, he kind of reminds me of Dr. Mundo. He kind of looks like that guy.
The smell of rotting fish is almost unbearable.
All right, going in. Wow, this is a long mission. This is gonna be A good one. Okay, so this is a chest. Now, this is a regular chest. While I could use all of these different things on this chest to try to start to gather some information, we're at the beginning of the mission. I'd rather just open it and just whatever's inside it, just take it.
Packs laden with loot are often low on supplies.
So we got the blood, which is kind of nice. We're going to eventually want to get some of those. And getting one of those early might incentivize me to actually leave a slot specifically for the blood, because obviously one of the things about this game that's tough is inventory management. And if you're out here trying to gather blood for your characters, that's one more slot you don't have to slot gold and other things you need. It's an opportunity cost question. Now, I guess I should have checked. Yeah, we do already have a character here. We have her. She has, so the Grave Robber has a 100% chance to remove traps, so I need to remember to have her selected. If we don't have the Antiquarian with us, there's no reason not to have the Grave Robber up front. Keep an eye out for traps. As I say, I try to watch out for those as much as possible, even though sometimes they just hit you anyway. Quiet room, it's fine. Nothing. Was that there?
Ancient traps lie in wait, unsprung and thirsting for blood.
I didn't see that. Maybe you did. Okay, quiet room. Hunger check this early. It's a good thing we brought some extra food, huh? That's brutal. That's one of the downsides about that what random variant. Sometimes that just happens. Got a map. That's nice. All right, give us some extra information here. Okay, pretty quiet hallways, honestly. What is this mission? Is it 90% of rooms? It is. So we just need to clear rooms. We don't even need to do all the battles. So we just need to go to all the rooms. As many of the rooms as we can go to. The most efficient path, we can hit as many rooms as possible. Since I know there's no enemies nearby right now, I'm not going to worry about lighting the torch. Or wasting my time with torches right now. Now we have it. Okay, I got the hiccups. We've got a trap coming up here, so I'm going to make sure I select my Grave Robber. And see, here's the trap right there. So you can see them pretty obviously if they're on the map. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes the trap will catch you and you have no choice because the game just stat checks you on it sometimes. Again, literally the only thing about this game that I disagree with design-wise. Hey, we got another random check. So we have a choice here. We can either go right or left, right? Pretty clearly. But what I mean by that is if I go left, or I guess up, I'm thinking about it from the point of view of standing in the room. If I go up, I'll see this battle. And it's an unnecessary battle. If I don't really want to go to it, I don't have to. But not going to a battle means it's less resources that we get from killing enemies. If I go up and then I go right, I'm going to have to backtrack down to go to 2 more rooms. I'm going to go right because I think it's right. And it's more correct because I'll see more rooms. This pack has already been looted. Hey, this is what I was talking about. From memory, this is, I think, the only curio in this location that interacts positively with the holy water, I believe. Okay, I'm wrong. Maybe it was the anti-venom. Okay. Oh, it just heals her. Okay, I guess. Did it also remove some stress? It might have.
Darkness closes in, haunting the hearts of men.
Darkness closes in, haunting the hearts of men. I'm going to go ahead and assume that we'll be okay in this room. We might get surprised and flip everybody around. That'll suck if it happens. Man, we were getting some good scouts here. This is the first time this has happened, so let's talk about this. Secret rooms. A critical scouting success will sometimes reveal a secret room. Advance to the tile marker with the star, which is super rare to get that, and then you'll press up like you're going to go into a room, right? It's like a hidden door. When you go in there, there's some super cool stuff you can get in there. You just need to have a key. We do, and we saved that. But look back at this map right now. Down here at the bottom, you can see it's a secret door. We'll go back there here in a bit. I'm going to skip going down because there's no reason to invite a fight against somebody if I don't have to. Well, actually, we aren't really gathering any resources right now if we don't do that. I'm going to step in here and fight the guys and then go back. Might seem a little strange, but there's no reason to go to the very bottom because this last room, there's nobody in there. All right, new enemy here. Hold of the Deep. this enemy in the far back here, what does he do? Doomsay. Big surprise, he just applies a lot of stress.
Such a terrible assault cannot be left unanswered.
Now, you might look at that and be like, that was a lot of damage. Why did he deal so much damage? Well, it's because it's dark. When it's pitch as black, the stress that you gain goes way up. The monster accuracy goes way up. The damage they deal goes way up. It just adds a layer of difficulty. So now I should probably consider turning the torch on so I don't just get wiped like that. Alright, so we're going to have to spend some time healing this character up. That's okay. It was a good opportunity to kind of show how some systems work. I'm going to try to take out these characters that just deal a lot of damage right now because he's got plus 25% damage. I'm going to deal with him right now because he's going to hurt. I'm also going to just try to rake these guys to death. Transforming. And just start beating them. Just hit them. Buffed, his next one is going to hit for more every time. Now he dodges. See, last time she took 17 damage from a hit. Now they're taking way less. Well, yeah, it makes sense. I'm actually going to take a second here to, I think, stun these guys. What do they have stun resistance-wise? 10%? I'm going to stun these two guys because even though they're not taking damage actively, it's giving me a chance to deal with these frontliners while also recovering and healing. And these two guys apply a lot of stress, and it's obnoxious, especially considering how much stress we've already taken just from that first Doomsay. I want to stop these guys from applying any additional stress while we take care of the front line. I'm also gonna do this, which I mean I could heal her if I wanted to right now. I guess that might be the right play, but I'm going to try to just kill these guys in the back line with this guy, right? His abyssal artillery. It's a good question. Maybe I heal. Healing for 11 is fantastic. Stunned him. Alright. So he's stressed out a little bit here because he's in this form. It's actually one of the cool things about this form. He does a lot of damage, but he stresses himself out because he's a beast and he has no control. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? He's embarrassed about it, like the fact that he's this beast thing in chains. But sometimes he has to do this in order to kill people. Win. Alright, let's take him out.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Alright, stunned as well. Alright, and then from here, let's go ahead and apply the plague grenade. Need to start killing these guys. 2 dodges, good for you. Alright, now I'm going to try to go ahead and kill one of these guys right now. Or do as much as I can. You might notice that did a lot of damage. Well, there's a reason for that, right? I didn't really talk about that, but she threw a dart. That ability deals more damage to targets that have already been blighted, and this guy in the back has the blight symbol. Alright, now I'm going to do this final ability here called Abyssal Artillery. So from the back 2 lines, I can attack the back 2 lines. And it says accuracy 90, damage modification minus 33%. It has a chance to crit, but it also deals 17 additional % damage to Eldritch, like this guy. This guy's going to die probably anyway, because this is just flat damage, but this guy is Eldritch, so I want to push extra damage onto this Pelagic Shaman.
Their formation is broken.
Alright.
Maintain the offensive.
See if we can go before him. Nope. Oh, he's healing someone. That's fine. We're not really worried about damage. We're actually more worried about the stress. Now I'm really going to show, so the first rake hit for 4. Now it's hitting for 5. You can start to see it starts to build, and it builds, and it builds. He's dodged the first 2. Oh. Dodged the first 2. Didn't get lucky in the last one. That's all right. Let's go ahead and heal her up. Fantastic. She even dodged the bleed again. She dodged the bleed again. That's awesome. Let's go ahead and pick to the base this guy. Now, that doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's reliable. It's always going to deal that amount of damage, her base damages, right? Even through armor, which is great. All right, here we will go ahead and take out this guy, if we can. There's just no reason to allow them to hit us for additional damage this round. All right, since these guys are going to die on their turn anyway from blight stacks, right? This guy already has 5 blight stack, and he only has 2 base health. Or 2 remaining health, and this guy is going to take 4 in the next round. He's only got 1 base health. I'm just going to take this as an opportunity to heal my guys.
Soothed. Sedated.
No reason to use this heal though, because it offers an opportunity to affect them with bleed stack afterwards. And this guy, we haven't really talked about this, but the Abomination, when he changes forms, he heals himself. So he's going to heal himself every time he transforms anyways. Alright, let's just kill somebody.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
A little overdone, they were already going to die. Sure.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
I haven't really talked about that, but I'm going to say this now. You'll note that as soon as he changed back forms, everybody had a little stress relief. Well, he stresses them out. I think he adds like 7 or 8 stress when he changes forms, but he de-stresses them a little bit by switching back. I don't think there's anything really to say here. We're just going to take everything there we have. All right, we're just going to go back because we want to clear 90% of the rooms, but there's really no reason to go down there. If we clear all the rest of the rooms, we'll get it anyway. I don't want to walk through additional hallways if I don't have to. One portrait. Healing. All right. Oh, very short hallway. We got a real room going on here. Oops, sorry. If you heard that. Call the deep. I think that increases his base percentage damage, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and try to take out the back line immediately. This guy up here we haven't seen yet, the Pelagic Guardian. I about said Gardener. Yeah, the Pelagic Guardian. So this dude's a tank. He's most annoying because he can kind of protect, he can usually protect this guy back here or one of these other guys and then just be a huge tank and force everybody to attack him instead. Kind of think like when we played the Crusader and we used the ability to there was like a religious bulwark or something like that. This character up front has the ability to basically tank for his teammates. So while we have the opportunity before he goes, we want to apply as much damage as we can to that backline as we have freedom to do so. So we're gonna light him up.
A dizzying blow to body and brain.
And that's why, because those guys are atrocious to deal with. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just try to kill him off. So he'll die next round because he's already got 4 blind stacks for the next round, so he's out. Oh, this might suck. She might get stunned. Yeah. Luckily, she's already done what she needed to do, though, here. So then I'm going to, I guess, have a few choices here. I might pull the guy in the back because I want to deal with this guy now. I moved him up front. I'd like to deal with this guy if I can, because he's a tanky little, or not a tanky little guy. He applies stress. We want to deal with that while we can. I'm actually going to take some time off. I'm not going to transform. I could and start beating this guy to death, but health is not a problem for us right now. Stress is the problem. This ability has the ability to remove stress for himself, but we want to start doing that if we can. See, that barnacle barrier is going to protect him, but it won't matter because he's going to die from bleed or from infection and stuff or whatever anyways. See, that's what I don't like. I want to get rid of that if I can. Ew. 2 in a row, same character. She's gonna get stunned too, or infected. Yeah, we need to get rid of all those negative effects that are on him, but... Alright, let's go ahead and transform. I didn't want to, but I'm gonna need to. They're all getting stressed out from it. It's annoying. Alright, let's go ahead and try to, Is he gonna get... Yeah, they're both gonna die this round, because they both have... Blight on them. I'm gonna go ahead and try to start building rakes on these guys, start dealing damage. You'll notice that this guy only took 3 damage.
Time to perform beyond one's limits.
It's because this guy has on him 58% protection. He just doesn't take damage. Now, for this character, I can do a few things. I could start applying Blight to people, and that might be a good decision. But in this case, because this character already has bleed on him, I'm gonna take a second to heal himself, or heal herself, and also remove the bleed.
The slow death, unforeseen, unforgiving.
And then we're gonna heal. See, 2 is terrible. Didn't get the bad bleed roll though.
Mortality clarified in a single strike.
Okay, that's three crits my opponents have gotten in this round, which is pretty brutal. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and bandage. We haven't really used those yet, but we're gonna do that now. This guy's gonna die anyway, so let's take out this guy. The jellyfish is gonna die now. So we got 2 of them down.
A death by inches.
And then we should take a second here to rage. We can do that. I'm just gonna hit the first target. And then I'm gonna start applying Noxious Blast to this guy and start getting some blight going on him, because he's a tank. That's what you want to do against tanks. You want to either do armor penetration, which we're going to talk about here in a second when we get back to the Grave Robber, or you want to deal blight or bleed to them because they have so much health. These big tanks up front aren't meant to deal with the tanks in the front. They're supposed to kind of, you know, take damage, but they want to deal damage to the backliners, but the backliners are not in the front. So you got to kind of figure out a way of pulling them up front. All right, I'm going to use this as a chance to heal. I could do the Curse of Weakening, but this guy doesn't do an enormous amount of damage by himself. My God! A 30 crit! All right, we'll take it. Stop bleeding her. All right, let's remove that right now. We're going to go ahead and remove the bleed on that person right now. None of that. Get out of here. All right. Ram him. Or it's not ram, I'm raging, whatever I was doing there. Let's heal this person down. 10. Okay. That's good. Now the Blinded Guardian is now dead. We just have to get to their turn.
Gently. This is how a life is taken.
Now, one thing you might notice is on the screen right now, everybody is about to get stressed out. We look okay on paper right now, but if you really, I say look good on paper, but if you really look at like what's going on here, our stress is high. So we're probably going to need to use firewood here very soon. I'm going to wait to do this secret door until we're completely finished with the mission. I need to get through as much of this as we can right now. All right, let's get the torch up here. Sure.
If only treasure could staunch the flow of otherworldly corruption.
I'm not going to take the journal pages this time, folks, and the reason for that is because this is a longer mission, which means there's a much higher probability of multiple chances of finding citrines and emeralds, things of that nature. This is more a thing I try to go after when we're on short missions, and we don't have as many spots in our inventory fighting for our attention. Look for traps. Keep an eye out. No traps, no traps, no traps, no traps. Box. Sad day. This is actually a mission, right? Yeah, this is a curio room. There's a fight in here. So we're gonna go ahead and get ready as best as we can. We're gonna hit a few torches in here.
As the light gains purchase, spirits are lifted, and purpose is made clear.
One character in this group we want to take care of right away is the Cultist Acolyte, if we can. This character stresses people out. I'm going to try to get rid of that character super quick. We're going to blind these characters. Stun them up. And then here we will... I'm not going to... Actually, probably our Abyssal Artillery, honestly. Just attack the back line.
Masterfully executed.
That character's just going to die. Nice. And then here we're not going to transform. We're just gonna decrease stress right now for a little bit. Everybody's got a lot of health. It's stress that's the problem right now. I don't care about health. We've got two ways of healing. We have no real way of dealing with stress.
Great is the weapon that cuts on its own.
We have no real way of dealing with stress outside of the ability that has just so much damage, just raw damage. Let's get rid of one of these guys here. It's stress that's the problem right now, so I need to fight it while I can. That's okay. That character hasn't really been attacked much. We don't care about that. All right, cool. All right, let's get rid of this character. Lots of damage because he's already blighted. Here we'll heal her. 4 is bad. No bleed, which is good though. We're just gonna keep on removing stress, which is a little strange. You might be like, what the heck? That character is topped off. Ah. Nice dodge. Nice dodge. Nice dodge.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
We needed that. All right, here, take this backliner out. Just trying to take care of characters who deal a lot of damage, and this character does a lot of damage. Okay, 3 damage per round. Okay, so I'm gonna apply the Noxious Blast here to the frontliner, even though I could take this as an opportunity to just kill the Blooded Grouper. It was a grouper. I'd much rather just apply as much damage over the fight as I can, because he just took a lot of damage from that. You just saw. Yeah, hit him all you want. This guy's just healing himself. He doesn't care. Hit the frontliner all day. All day. We love that. That's fine. Keeps pressure off our other teammates. All right, and then we will just heal and ignore you. We don't care. He's our tank. This is giving him double value because now he's healing up the damage and teammates aren't taking it. All right, that character's going to die anyways, so we're going to hit this character. And I think we're good. I think they're dead now. They're just going to die from on their turn. Let's take this as an opportunity to heal. It didn't get bled though. That's okay. Just heal people up. I guess we'll get rid of this bleed stack. There's no reason not to. Cool. Cool. Pretty mediocre.
As victories mount, so too will resistance.
Now, I've talked about this before, but if you interact with this, you can see that the shovel is what opens this. We're not going to do that right now. We'll come back. The reason I'm doing that is because we're going to be making it. We're going to come back here anyways. We already talked about why, because we need to go back to that treasure room. But I would much rather make sure that we have the shovels we need in order to get rid of the obstacles that we'll run into. Right? Hunger check. Yep, we're running on low time there. We want to make sure we take out all of our enemies before... Okay. Alright, cool. Good opportunity to show some abilities here, right? So, we can kill this sea maggot right now if we want to, and it might be worth doing. By just hitting it with the pick to the face, it will die instantly. Because this ignores damage, or ignores armor. Even though this character has 75% armor, 75% protection, this character will ignore it and just deal full raw damage to that character. Might be worth considering, but I'm also really mostly concerned with getting rid of stress. So we're going to try, like I've talked multiple times, to get rid of the backliners as fast as possible, which might seem a little strange considering the fact that the Drowned Thrall blows up. We've talked about that too. That character does a lot of damage, but I'm not as worried about that right now. I'd much rather just take care of the backline, the thing that deal a lot of damage and the thing that deal a lot of stress. These frontliners are just big, dumb, stupid tank things. Hit him with a... I could probably just kill them if I hit them with the plague grenade. I think they'll just die. Well, maybe not the grouper. He didn't have any blight on him yet. Yeah, he's not gonna die. That's okay. He'll die next round. Darkling grab. So we're gonna have to focus entirely on this guy this next round if we can. Brian's annoying because it just applies random status effects. Yeah, minus 20 dodge. My God. That's actually terrifying. All right, so I have multiple abilities that can kill the Thrall. The Thrall's at 14. Let's just keep removing stress. All right, let's go ahead and Noxious Blast this guy. He's going to take quite a bit from that. 5. And then we will try to... We can't dagger him, but we can poison dart him. He's going to take 8. We might just hit him with a... If we hit him for 2, well, he's dead. Because he'll die. He'll take 8 blight this round, and he's already at 8. That was important because I think it's like on round 3 or 4 that the guy blows himself up. So since this guy does almost no damage, this will give me a great opportunity. So there's an incentive to leaving this guy for the whole fight because he does almost nothing. He doesn't do damage. So I can take this as an opportunity to start spamming heals on teammates and stuff and kind of get them to a good spot. All right, let's go ahead and heal him up. Zero's bad. Is he gonna bleed too? Nope. That's all right. Sometimes it just fails, but we're gonna keep on applying stress relief. Now, one thing you need to understand about this game, though, is you can't. We haven't talked about this yet, but you can't just forever stay inside of a fight and kind of bully a weak character like this by perpetually spamming heals and ignoring the combat system and then just staying there forever. Because at the top of the screen here it says Radiant Light. Over time, you lose light, and there's a certain amount of rounds that go by in a fight. And then after a while, your character will say something like, we need to stop playing with this enemy, or whatever. And then if you don't do anything about the enemy that round, more enemies will spawn. So you can't just gamify it. So we'll try to kill this guy. He's gonna die.
Another abomination cleansed from our lands.
That was good, because these characters needed that. What is this? Book of Unholiness.
Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
Well, that's good. The Book of Holiness, uncommon item, minus 20% stress, so they just don't get stressed out. Minus 10% death blow resist, so if they're low on health, they have a higher chance of just giving out and dying, but... Yeah, we will certainly take that item. We'll put it on somebody. I'm sure we will. I guess this is probably as good a time as any to go ahead and use the Holy Water. Actually, I don't want to do that until I've used it on something, and I'm going to try to use it on this thing in the background just to kind of use it on something. You know what? This is a great time to do what I was talking about. I talked about this in a previous episode. You can actually sneakily use the firewood while looking at new items.
Huddled together, furtive and vulnerable. Rats in a maze.
And then you can take the item as if you had the slot already. So from here, I have nobody that has, you know, the blood, that needs the blood, and we haven't seen any more blood. So I'm going to go ahead and take more money here. I'm going to leave the blood behind, which we do want, but we don't need it that bad right now. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and use. I can only afford to use one of these, a regular ration. Or a half ration, even though I'd love to do this because I can't afford, we've only got 6 food. If I do the 4 and then we get a random hunger check, it's going to absolutely destroy us on stress. So I'm going to do a half ration, even though I would love to get rid of some of their stress. And we're going to try to see if we have any abilities that help us remove stress like this one. Alright, so it looks like all of these characters have the ability to like remove stress mostly. They all have this ability right here, encourage. Great. And then after that, we've got what? How much? We have 6 more that we can spend. Dark Ritual, self-only. Reduce the torchlight by 100. I'm not interested in that. But it also gives plus 15 stress. And then for 1 companion, heals them for 50% and removes their mortality debuffs. Okay, I can see why that'd be good. Nobody on our team has a mortality debuff. Nobody's got to death's door. Self-only, prevent nighttime ambush. All teammates get 7 stress. I would be interested in this normally, but it's stress that's our major problem right now, and I'm not going to do that. Plus 20% scouting chance for the next 4 battles. Yeah, that's good. We might use that. And then we've got self-only, plus 25% damage for the next 4 battles. All companions, if they're not religious, will get plus 10. If they are religious, will get plus 20. Well, I actually think none of these characters are religious, but I don't want to spam them with extra stress, so I'll probably just do the quickening, which just gives plus 3 speed for the next 4 battles for this guy, so he just gets to go really quick. I mean, it's opportunity-wise not that big a deal. Although you could make the argument, maybe I need to use some kind of a heal. Remove disease, no. Self-only, minus 10 stress, okay. Heal by 20%, and then remove blight bleeding, plus 10 accuracy for the next. Yeah, dang. Self-medicate is pretty good. Removing 10 stress is actually what I'm most interested in, but it's not even that great. She's got a little bit of health loss here. Extra accuracy is not really necessary. This character has 2 items that are gonna almost guarantee that she hits every time. I don't really care about any of those. How about this one? 1 stress minus 15% stress the next 4 battles. I don't know if there's this is good, but it's good against enemies who I know are going to be giving a lot of stress, and I don't know if I'm going to get hit by a lot of stress enemies coming up, so I'm not super excited about that. I think I'd rather do the night moves. Get us some extra information, potentially, and then also run the quickening, which just gives extra speed. It's just generically good. Alright. And I guess we could do the cure. Remove the disease. Does anybody even have diseases? They don't. Does anybody have something? Oh yeah, we could do this. Pilfer. Produce a random supply item. Sure. An extra herbal medicine, I guess. Sure, why not? And we'll rest. Maybe we get attacked in the middle of the night. Can't really do anything about it.
Heroes may indeed stalk these shadows, but yonder, a glint of gold.
And you'll see the ambush switched our locations, so the opponents are going to get a real opportunity to just do a crap load to us. The upside, though, is I can actually deal with this.
Singular strike.
Because I have characters who have the ability to move themselves, right? He's going to spend probably the whole round here healing up a bit. I'm just going to have him heal. He's not going to be involved in this fight, probably. I'm just going to let him just get rid of his stress. Let everybody else handle this.
Of battle.
Let's go ahead and just start weakening this guy. Take out 1 character really quickly, and then after that, we'll consider moving. She's going to just absolutely devastate 1 character. Oh, I clicked the wrong ability. That's not a big deal, though. I wanted to lunge forward with her. I messed up. That's not that big of a deal, though. A little annoying, but eats a lot. Alright. I would like to have this character up front, but he's not up front, so we're not going to worry about it. That's the wrong character to attack. Death's Door. Now I'm a little stressed.
On the brink, facing the abyss.
Alright, we can heal him. Healing for 0 is not good. Sea Breeze is funny. That heals the teammates instead of taking out our low health guy. Alright, Can't kill this character despite the fact that I want to, because the game was smart about who it targeted. Oh, she gets to go first before this character does, because I was worried that our Plague Doctor was going to get killed here. I might be able to kill this character if I click correctly here. Lunge. 23% adds additional damage against a blinded character. This character's dead. Great. Alright. Alright, I need a guy to... stress wave. Okay. Alright. 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 11 is a lot of damage.
Perched at the very precipice of oblivion.
A lot of damage. Okay, that's 2 heals for 0 and already bled himself. Okay, well, you're healing him then. That's why we have this guy to save us in bad cases like that. Alright. Whip him. Stun him. And I missed the stun. Okay, well, attacking him doesn't bother me the slightest. That character, 25 stress? Ugh. Get us out of here. Don't bleed him.
A hand's breadth from becoming unwound.
5 is at least more than 0. Alright. Okay, we're getting this guy up death's door. Alright, we're gonna take out the annoying stress guy. I think I'm gonna take a turn to be greedy and heal. 8's good. Bleed's annoying, but this character will be able to go and then bleed and then remove the bleed off himself, which is good. We need to get off of the death's door. Man, this is so dumb. The pitch black has completely flipped the fight. Like, being nighttime ambush sucks, but it's particularly bad whenever your characters are like moved around. They're really, really, really pushing us on this one.
As life ebbs, terrible vistas of emptiness reveal themselves.
Alright, let's move you up here. I don't want to kill yet, because I want to heal. Now heal her up, we'll go like this. And then we will have you heal her like crazy. 14! That's good. Alright, hopefully we get to go first. Get out of here. Just get out of here.
In Radiance, may we find victory.
We do want the sharpening sheath. I want that more than I do the swordsman's crest. So we're just going to do a quick change over here and take that. This is an item we talked about earlier as being a rare item that we'd love to pick up later. The reason we got that, by the way, and this is the upside to these kind of things, that was a fight against 4 enemies in pitch black. For that reason, we have a higher chance of better items dropping. I'm going to get rid of this, the Venom. I'd rather just take the extra item. And then from here, let's go ahead and switch these guys around here, put them in the right slots here. These are fine. I don't remember what this does. So we're gonna throw some things at it. See? Nothing? I have no idea. Nothing? Shovel? Nothing? How about bandages? Nothing? Well, it can't be a key, so I'm guessing it's just something. Okay. Buff. Plus 4 speed. Oh, that's great for us. Plus 4 speed for the next 3 battles. That's from his own thing from the last time we camped. But he just, from this thing, by interacting with this, he just flat out got plus 20% damage until we camp next. Well, we're not camping for the rest of the mission. So he's going to have plus 20% damage for the rest of the mission, which is great for us. And an additional 4 speed. He's going to have 8 speed for the rest of the mission. He's going to get to go before everybody, every single fight, which is awesome. All right, let's get back. We only have a few more doors we got to go through, and then we got to get out of here because we got really pushed in that last fight. That really sucked. That nighttime ambush was not choice, not ideal. All right, now we can use a shovel on this. We know what this does. We've done this in the past. Take the money. Okay, we're gonna walk this direction. Grab us a torch here. We'll grab that on the way back. We've already got. Well, actually, hold on. We've only got 3 torches, so we'll go ahead and take this. Sure. Do this. See what's in there. Okay. We should finish the mission if we go through these next 2 rooms. And if we don't finish the mission by going through those 2 next rooms, we will certainly finish it by going through the one that's by the secret door. So if we go through these next 2 rooms, we're not going to go to the final room because we only need to complete 3 of the rooms. maybe 4, but if we have to do 4th, then I'll go to the bottom one. I don't think we will, but... Okay, no enemies. This is the last room that we need to go through. Okay, we gotta fight, and then nothing. Well, that last room's a treasure room. Maybe we go that way anyways. Maybe we go that way anyways. Alright? Okay, this is a pretty easy fight, where I'm not too worried about this one. This might be a good opportunity, though, to de-stress. Because these guys are going to just die anyways. We do want to deal with the guy in the front. But she's going to take care of the annoying guys. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and infect this guy, or I guess blight him, because he's going to take a lot of damage from that. And then we'll start using him to heal. This fight is great for us, because it'll give us an opportunity to kind of get back in the fight. Guardsman grabs a decent amount of damage, but 6 of damage, it's not that big a deal. Brian's annoying. Status ailments are always annoying. Debuff, no dodge. And see, that actually synergizes with the Drowned Thrall, because the Drowned Thrall blows himself up, right? And if he blows himself up, it's a really inaccurate ability, but it's pretty good whenever you can't dodge. Alright. What's he got? 0? Yeah, he's just gonna die anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this as an opportunity to heal again. Get everybody topped off. We had some good rolls there. After rolling 2 zeros, we needed some help there. Now I'm going to make sure that I Noxious Blast this guy. Right now he's going to take 5 for the next 2 rounds, but he's probably only going to go 1 more time before he blows himself up. I'm going to make sure that he actually dies here. So now he's going to take 10 for this round. Just immediately he's going to take 10 damage. You can see why the Plague Doctor is pretty solid. Now this character's just going to kill this guy. Let's get out of here.
Back to the pit.
Let's get out of here. Nice, nice. We like that. We're in a good spot now. Even
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Fair enough. The game's trying to remind us not to get confident. Right as I was about to say, I think we're in a good spot because we have 3 guys that are at death's door. That is not trivial. No traps, no traps. Keep that torch up because I don't know what's going to be coming, right? Oh, no, we do because we got the treasure room. Never mind, I spoke too soon. So this is the last real room where we have guys we have to fight. So we just got to make it to this last fight. I'm going to use the torches now because I don't really care about the light once I leave to fight these guys. We really only have 2 things left on the map right now that could truly cause us problems. The 2 things that remain that could cause us problems are running out of food and getting hunger checked 2 more times would suck, and the last thing is this fight. So we get through this fight and we've taken care of one of those. Alright, I'm gonna transform here so we can actually, yeah, I'm gonna transform here so we can get out of here. Now we're gonna get stressed out, but I'd rather hit hard right now because I'm gonna have the opportunity to basically almost kill our opponents instantly because they don't get the chance to attack until after we've already applied all of our attacks, which is gonna be insane. Let's get rid of the guy that stresses us out, because he's almost already dead anyways. He's going to take 7 poison now, so he's going to be dead for sure. We're going to use missile artillery, so he is dead for sure. Not the bad guy, that's okay. He's going to hit us hard. Well, only 3 is nice. That's real nice. But this guy's just going to die. Running for 6 is annoying, because that's stress. Focus! Whoa!
A moment of clarity in the eye of the storm.
That's nice. The first guy on our team that got stressed to the brink hit a virtuous. That's pretty rare, right? Virtue is a lot less common. So he became virtuous. He became focused. Now, that actually, usually you can tell what that does. I need to check. Can I look at this character and look and see what focus does? I know you can always look it up. But I can't remember what it does. Usually, I thought I might have to look that up here. Focused, virtuous. Let's check to make sure here. What does focus do? I want to make sure I get this right, because focus gives plus 10 accuracy for the rest of the mission, and plus 8% crit for the rest of the mission. And then they have these things called act outs. They'll occasionally do something special. The act out in this case is 25% reduce other heroes. No, that's the other one. 25% buff 1 other hero for 10 accuracy and 10% crit. So he's helping everybody stay focused. See, it's super cool. That's super fun. The ability for a character to like hit the edge and you're like, oh god, we're gonna get wiped, and suddenly they hit this, like they lock in and they're like, nope, I'm actually not gonna I'm not going to help wipe your team. I'm not going to become a problem for your team. Instead, I'm going to actually make your team more focused, and we're going to win this damn thing. That's actually, I love that. That's a cool, what an interesting mechanic. Like, when you need them the most, they could crumble or they could lock in and become super clutch, which is awesome to see. Because that also, if you looked, he didn't just remove his own stress. He removed everybody's stress. Now we're off of, I think just that right there alone might have been enough to get us through the rest of the mission without any real trouble. That's awesome. Alright, so we're gonna try to take out a character super fast. This guy's gonna take 4 this round and he hasn't attacked yet. See, the problem is I can't attack him because he's guarded. Okay, so this last guy, I would love to attack the pelagic grouper, but I can't hit him because he even though he's going to die very soon, he's got guarded by, and he's being guarded by the tank guy. This is what I was talking about when I said he's a kind of an annoying character. Alright, what's he have here? +3 strength. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and hit pick to the face on this guy now because the pelagic guardian has 58% protection. This is gonna hit for raw damage against him. Yeah, that's annoying, but he's virtuous. All right, and then we're gonna try to take out the tank again because this is the guy who's super tanky. You try to apply blights and bleeds to super tanks because it ignores the protection. Protection does nothing against blight and bleed. All right, let's go ahead and heal her up. Although that's dangerous because she's already got 1 bleed. I don't want to make the bleed. I don't want to exacerbate the bleed. Huh. Nah, it's okay. Let's do it. Oh, she dodged it. That's good. Good luck. Well, I'm glad I did it. Stacked another bleed, man. Yep, that's fine. That's our tank. We don't care about that at all. Uh-huh. So they should both almost be dead here. Yep, she's bleeding. We get it. Alright, let's take him out. Big crit. You bled on my coat. He's out, and we're good.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
We're out of space now. So now the question is, what do we do again? We have to keep the food. That'll go soon, and we'll replace that here soon. I'm telling you now, I know I'm going to need 3 slots here coming up because of that treasure room. We'll talk about that soon. I could probably get rid of the torch if I'm being honest.
The light, the promise of safety.
And then I can probably go ahead and get rid of these medicinal herbs because we won't need those anymore since we haven't run into anything that needs it anyway. Hey, we beat the mission. We're not returning to the hamlet. We're going to continue adventuring. We're going to open this up. We're going to use one of our keys here.
Wealth beyond measure. Awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
And I guess now I will remove the shovel, exchange the shovel for the deeds. And then after that, we are going to go back to that treasure room. We're going to see why those are cool. Yep, you're bleeding. A lot of bleeding. Luckily, there should be no more enemies unless an enemy spawns while we're traveling through the hallways. They can. It's lower probability than a normal spawn, but... backtracking is such a weird feeling because it's like... it almost feels like you're playing... this is a weird dated reference, but back in the day when you played old PlayStation games... oh, look, enemy spawned. Yeah, back in the day when you played old PlayStation games, you would be playing a game and you could actually open the disc tray and then you could pull the disc out and the game would continue to play on the mission, the part of the level you were already on. And then it would play up to a point, and then the game would just constantly, like, it would, like, do something weird, like freeze in a weird way, or you would just walk around the same area, and the next sequence of the game wouldn't load, and so you could exist in this limbo state. That's what it feels like walking through. It's almost like walking through the back rooms. You know what the back rooms are for, like, SCP stuff? Walking through areas where there's no enemies is kind of strange. Here are our friends. This is what I was talking about. Our team is designed to take out guys that are weak against Blight. These guys are resistant to Blight. But the upside, though, is she doesn't care because she hits straight through. She doesn't care about his armor. This guy really wants to deal Blight damage to people, but it's not very easy to hit targets. See, look, this character has the ability to stun people and blight them. This character has resistance to stun and resistance to, you guessed it, Blight. This is why these guys are so sneakily annoying to deal with. and you have to go and deal with the infection occasionally because they will come out of nowhere. And we are probably realistically going to walk out here with maybe 2 characters that now have the Crimson Curse because these guys just showed up. It is what it is. We got Blight luck. We got really lucky there with the Blight. I'm going to switch forms. I'm going to try to take these guys out very quickly because the longer you fight against these guys, the more times you get hit with Blight. It's obnoxious. I don't want to deal with that. Nice! Now, if we get another chance to attack one of these, that'd be great. Oh, awesome. I might actually be able to take out one of these guys before they get the chance to do anything here. Oh, never mind. He doesn't actually... Yeah, let's just do damage. Downside about these characters is they heal. They do the thirst. Yep. And that's why they suck. Crimson Curse and healed, right? What can you do? You can't do anything about it. It just happens. Maddening Wine's not as obnoxious. It adds way more stress, but it doesn't give you the Crimson Curse. Yeah, you can keep attacking him. He's got full health, and he's already got the Crimson Curse. You can't get worse than that. I don't care about that. Now, let's try to kill these guys as fast as possible, because these guys are very quick. They also have very high dodge. 10 dodge is annoying. Got him. That's good. Now, we want to kill this little mosquito guy very quickly if we can. If we can. Now, he's got 80% resistance to dodge, but he only has 15% resistance to stun. Let's stun him. I don't want him to get the chance to do anything. He's really quick. He applies Maddening Wine. Is annoying. Let's pick to the face this guy. All right, and now we can just take a second to heal because this guy can't do anything anyways. Get us some health back in case more enemies spawn. I want to take this guy out as fast as possible. Okay. Now we have 4 attacks on him in a row, so I'm not too worried. But he didn't apply an additional Crimson Curse, luckily, so this might be an opportunity to heal. But I think I'd rather just kill him because I'm tired of the Crimson Curse. Let's take what we can.
This expedition at least promises success.
And we'll leave the anti-venom. Who cares? All right, we're all stressed out, but we're almost done. We almost got out of here without having another guy with the Crimson Curse, but it is what it is. This is what I mean. You gotta fight the Crimson Curse back. Fight the Crimson Curse back. The weird thing is there's like diminishing returns on how annoying it is, right? The more people in your team have the Crimson Curse, the harder it is to actually have enough blood to sate their thirst. But it's going to be harder for your opponents to infect characters if everybody's already got it. But then there's also a push-pull on that too. There's a whole nother thing that we haven't talked about yet. You get too many people that get the Crimson Curse, then you are becoming the monsters yourself. And that matters because there are other people that also want to kill monsters. And suddenly you're a target. So, alright, we're going to finish this off. We have the special room now to look at. This is the first time we've actually seen one of these. It's kind of crazy we've gone this long without seeing one of these rooms. So if you look at the map, you'll see that there is a secret door in the next cell. So we'll walk a little further, and then now we're on top of it. So there's no door here, but if you literally just hit W or up, you'll go into it as if there was. And it's a hidden little room just like this. And what you want to do, you'll see on the map, it actually created that room. Right? And we can leave but by clicking on another room, but you can go right back into it. In this room, though, you'll notice this special sarcophagus looking like super rare room, whatever. It has a treasure chest key on it, and it also said that in the description, but make sure if you find one of these that you have a key for it. If you don't, you'll still get stuff out of it, but it's nowhere near as valuable. This is a lot of value if you have a key. You see what I mean? Each one of these puzzling trapezohedron? Yeah, puzzling trapezohedron, my goodness. Each one of these is worth 3,500 gold. Let me try that again. Each one of these is worth 3,500 gold. I got one more time here. Rubby Thompson. Hey, Rubby Thompson. Thanks for joining, man. I hope I'm saying that correctly and it's not Ruby. I feel bad if I said that. I hope you're having a good day today. You too. I appreciate you coming to watch. That's cool, dude. But yeah, each one of these puzzling trapezohedrons is worth 3,500 gold, which is a crazy amount of money, and can actually make an entire trip go from being a mediocre find to an enormous find. Now, we got very lucky here. We actually have space to take this. And financially, you might look at this and be like, well, what do you want to get rid of? Well, it really doesn't matter. Everything is worth getting rid of for 3,500 gold. This is 2 gold stacks by itself, right? It doesn't matter what you get rid of. But realistically, I think the things that are probably the least value are probably the citrines and probably this singular portrait. Oh, actually, why keep a skeleton key when we're going to leave immediately? So I guess we'll keep the portrait. Seems fair. And then we are out of here. What a great way to end this, right? Like that. All right, and let's get on out.
We will find all manner of great and terrible things in this watery tomb.
So 1 second here, I have we had a really good run there. Yeah, so you say, so Ruby Thompson, I think is what the name is. If I'm saying that correctly, I hope it's not Ruby if I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is not the only game I stream. I stream other games as well, but currently I'm kind of on a playthrough for this game. I usually try to play indie games, and I kind of have more of a explain how the game works mindset about stuff. I used to be a teacher, so I'm kind of doing that right now. This is a personal love. It's a game that came out like 10 years ago, and I just really enjoy it. So I'm streaming it because I had some students of mine from back in the day that actually asked me to play through this because they kind of want to see me play through some games because it's the only real way for them to stay in contact with me in any real way anymore. And then I had some other buddies that just kind of like to hear me babble sometimes because it's like we are still living together because we used to be roommates. So but we kind of live separated now. It's kind of at that stage in our lives. So I'm playing this kind of as a personal thing and also just to kind of see what's out there because I've never made a YouTube channel. I thought it'd be a lot of fun. So, but thanks for asking. And I will play other games. If you check out my channel, it's the same name you see here. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's nice of you. So, oh, I just went down on my chair. So you say here, I guess it says the Blue Titan Gaming. If you go to YouTube and you type in the Blue Titan, no spaces, and then place a space and put gaming. So the Blue Titan, all one word, and then space gaming, then you'll find my channel. I got some videos on there for Balatro. I don't know how to pronounce that. Everybody has their opinions. That kind of poker variant that's fun. It's like a roguelike. I like indie style games that make you think a lot, or games that are high in like rich in like narration and story, right? So I've played Balatro. I've also played, do you stream daily or sometimes? I try to stream as often as I can. And I'm trying to kind of get into this. I don't really have a current, we'll call it consistent streaming window that I need to do that. But I'm really just trying to get into this without pushing myself to the point where I don't enjoy it. And I'm sure you understand that. Like if you do this every day, it can kind of take away the kind of magic, the fun of sitting in front of a group of people and kind of like playing the game for fun. So I'm trying to kind of wade myself in there and kind of get into it in a way that I feel like is sustainable. Because about 8 months ago when I started this channel, I was going hard. I was making, 1-2 hour video a week, cutting it down to like 30 minutes and then making 5 shorts. And I was really after it. And things were going well. I was kind of starting to get a little bit of attention, which I was happy about, but I just burned myself out real fast. And I found out very quickly after that, I was like, okay, this is unsustainable. So I took some time off, about 8 months, a lot longer than I anticipated. And I realized, okay, if I'm going to come back at this, I need to come up with a new plan, which is why now I have 2 channels. My second channel is the Blue Titan Gaming VODs. And what you'll find on there is essentially what I'm doing right now, which is an unedited full playthrough, all the ugly background, the blood, snot, and tears, all the mess ups, all the mistakes, all the behind the scenes stuff that I do. It's going to be on there. I'm not going to edit anything on that. And it's also for that reason, it's basically a repository of my videos. In case I lose stuff. But then the other channel, the Blue Titan Gaming, the main channel, that one's going to have highly edited, shorter content, 15 minutes, 10 to 20 minute videos, and then shorts. So that's the long explanation for you. You're the first person in the chat that's actually really talking, so I appreciate the heck out of that, man. Yeah, I'm kind of excited to get back after this. I have a few people that are watching me consistently. But you're the third person in the last 2 or 3 days that I've been streaming that have actually jumped in the chat. But you're the first person I've actually caught and actually been able to respond to. I felt kind of bad the first few times because I don't pay enough attention over here. I'm trying to. And I didn't see them and they left, and I felt real bad because, it didn't feel good to throw your voice out in the void and try to connect to somebody and then make no contact. That sucks, especially when the person is intentionally having a connection like this. It's like, hey, I typed to you and you didn't respond. That feels really bad. So I'm glad I was able to actually connect with you to some degree. So are you into games like this, Darkest Dungeon? What made you click on my channel, if you don't mind me asking? Because that's great. All right, we're going to look at this and see. So Conter has known cheat. Well, he's not allowed to gamble in town. That makes sense for a grave robber. Adony has a meditator, improves stress reduction while meditating and while camping. Yep, that's okay. We don't really love this. Honestly, meditator is just a kind of a mediocre ability, honestly. It's better as any... There's a lot of other better abilities we'd rather have in that slot. And then the final one here is Chartres. Let's see. Flawed release, less crit ranged. That's not good. This character's mostly ranged. And Well Tactician, See, these are both roles that are bad for this character. This character is a lot better in the Cove, right? Where the enemies, like we were just dealing with, are Eldritch. This character deals extra damage to Eldritch, so we'd much rather see an ability roll that's more focused on the Cove or something related to these locations. At the very least, the Ruins, where he can deal damage through, actually, this character doesn't do Blight, nor does he deal Bleed, so it doesn't really matter. But the point I'm making, this character loves to fight against Eldritch enemies, as well as, just be in the Cove in general. You said, by the way, if you don't mind, can I ask you something related to your channel? Yeah, that's fine. But the thing about this character, though, is Chartres, this character, at this stage, looking at what he has the Bleed, or he has the Crimson Curse. I'm more likely to drop this character now, right? Because it's just one less character to deal with his issues, so... But we'll see. He's super stressed out. He's got some bad abilities now. I really don't like Flawed Release since he's almost entirely range related. That kind of sucks. All right.
Awash in blood and delusion, he bears the burden of 1,000 lifetimes.
This is why we want to get rid of the town as a buzz. The Blood Pilgrimage is not specifically. What I mean is the ability for good town events to roll, right? Now we actually have 2 flagellants that we can just recruit if we want to, right? It says the unsettling in the extreme, several of the church's more zealous advocates have wandered into the hamlet in search of a glorious death. We hope they'll find it quickly. All right, so let's look at their abilities. Resilience, 10% stress heal received. Slow reflexes is not great. Scientific is mediocre. He's a big healer on his own, so it doesn't really matter that much. Mankind Hater's not, it's okay. Yeah, I want to make sure that you asked me if you can ask me a question about your channel, and I did say yes. I hope you didn't catch that, and absolutely you can. All right, now what the other character said on here. The other character said, fast healer, extra healing wall. Why haven't you upgraded your channel? There's not really any decorations like a logo, a banner, overlays, VTuber, and VTuber, is there any reason? I mean, other than the logo itself, I haven't put anything on there. It's mainly just because I'm kind of getting, I don't want to say necessarily getting started. I'm doing a little bit at a time, right? As I start to enjoy doing some of this, I'm going to do more. So I spent a bit of time, I made my first logo, and then eventually I made a second logo, and I upgraded my logo to make it look better. At some point when inspiration strikes, I'll make a logo, right? And as far as a banner, I don't know what you... Well, I do have a logo, but I don't know what you mean by banner, or I'm sorry. I do know. I actually just realized what you mean. So you've got the logo, the circle, then you got the big rectangular banner that sits behind it. It's just mainly because I haven't thought of something that I want to do yet. I do have an idea. I have one of my coworkers really likes to use AI, and he's really into that. And he generated like the Blue Titan as a character, as like a comic book character, and it looks super sweet. It kind of looks like the Hulk or something, but it's like an ice Titan thing. And so I thought about maybe using that. It's just pretty cool. But as far as overlays and VTuber, I don't know what you mean by overlays on YouTube. I'd have to look that up. I don't even know what that is. And when you say VTuber, I assume you mean like the virtual tubers, like the people who have an anime character and they kind of like map their face to it. I think that's what you mean. I haven't really watched very many VTubers. As you can tell, I'm a little bit out of that phase. I just kind of getting back into this for fun, so I don't really know what you mean by that. Are VTubers in general? Oh, by the way, some of my custom things. What do you mean? If it relates to anything that's more like personal exchange of info or anything like that, currently, no offense to you, I mean, I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt that they're a good person and all that, but since I'm just getting into this before I make any bad decisions like connecting with somebody and trading information, emails, any kind of anything, respectfully, I don't want to do that currently because I'm just now getting into this. The last thing I want to do is shoot myself in the foot right out the gate by sharing some information I don't need to be sharing. If you're talking about, like sending a link to something or something like that, I don't know. I might consider it, but I'd have to see you in chat 2 or 3 times before I felt comfortable doing something like that. So I apologize if that, like you say, you got a Discord. I do, but again, maybe I'm not really sure if it's a good idea. I'm not, I'm a little bit hesitant about that right now. Yeah, like this, I don't want to join a random server or anything like that, or invite somebody I don't know to a server yet right now. There's a little bit of a parasocial kind of like, I'm trying to, figure out what's acceptable, what's not when I first start with a channel like this. As much as I appreciate that, I think I'd like to kind of keep my distance from, random folks that I don't yet know until I kind of get into things. And I hope you understand that, and I hope that doesn't offend you if you are a good person who isn't too sure about why I'd be a little bit apprehensive to such things. So just trying to get used to things. I don't really know the space. I've never streamed on Twitch. This is very new to me. I don't want to take I don't want to make a huge mistake and like click some link I shouldn't be clicking, or join some Discord that I shouldn't, or something like that. I know that might sound a little boomer coded. If you're in the chat a little bit more often, if I see you in the chat a few times, maybe so. And I would love to see you in the chat. Like, I'd love to have anybody back in the chat, but I just want to. Yeah, I think if I explain that anymore, yeah, I hear you. You say, don't worry, I appreciate where you're coming from. But I'm going to finish up here because it's actually, it's pretty late, and I have work tomorrow, so. All right, so let's finish this up here. Oh, you said you send me your Discord ID. Yeah, you can send it to me, and I might check it out later, but like, no promises. I'll think about it, okay? And I appreciate the heck out of it. Yeah, I appreciate it. I see you get the same name on Discord as you do on here. It's good to see. I'll keep this chat. I'll take a screenshot of it, and I'll look into it, okay? And I appreciate that. So I'm going to wrap up, though, okay? And I mean that sincerely. I appreciate the heck out of this conversation. You seem like a genuinely, interested person. Usually people that are messing around with you don't go to this length to talk, so. But anyway, I'm going to finish wrapping this up, okay? All right, so here, looking at these characters, we do have a few characters here that are flagellants here. They're cool, but the reality is I'm not more impressed by these than I am by others, right? Extra damage against humans is okay. It sometimes is nice that you have it, but it's not very often. I think I can think of one case where it'd be good to have extra damage against humans, besides if there's like a boss with that's a human. There's a mission eventually, I think, that can randomly happen where you get attacked by some they're basically exiled humans from the hamlet, and they're angry at the hamlet for exiling them or something like that. It's a random event. So other than that, I don't really see too many situations where mankind haters too good. It's okay. It's sometimes as good. Resilient, again, mediocre. I've told you before, slow reflexes is not great. And then you've also got scientific, which is minus 20%, healing received. It's okay. I really think that scientific in general kind of, it's not the worst thing in the world, because you just basically have to watch out that you don't have a Vestal on your team with the character. It's not as big of a deal to have scientific on a character like the Flagellant, because the Flagellant has self-heal. Similarly, on any character who has self-heal, or the best character to have scientific on is the Occultist. Right, because the Occultist is going to be healing himself and healing teammates. He doesn't need to worry about you're not very often going to have a Occultist with you while also having a Vestal. They're kind of like filling the same role. So usually you want to have scientific on a character who's either a Vestal or self-heals. So it's not the worst in this character. But in terms of characters who I have, I guess earlier we did drop the other Flagellant, didn't we? Maybe this is a good opportunity to see if we can extend the size of our stagecoach. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay, let me look at that real quick. No, we're not quite there. Oh, we still... Wait. Oh, yeah, we used some of these deeds earlier. We're going to have to drop somebody, probably, because I'm looking here, and I see two bounty hunters. We probably want to take one of these, at least. Warrior of the Light. That's good. Nervous Bleeder, less accuracy when bleeding is not that good. Virtue Chance, Mercurial's fine. I don't care about that at all. As I said before, I try to avoid having the opportunity to become virtuous or become afflicted as much as I can. This is such a strange ability, right? It's an ability that punishes you further when you do get afflicted. Well, I mean, up until the point where you become afflicted, it's not bad. So it's literally not even a bad ability. It's like I talk about win more. It's the reverse of that. It's lose more, right? Whenever you hit that moment where your character becomes negatively affected, it's not as bad normally, but with this it becomes worse. Well, okay, then up to that point it's literally a useless perk. It's not a bad thing at all. So honestly, I think Mercurial's fine. This character's good. I think I'll take this guy. The other one we talked about here, we already kind of said, Warren's Adventurer is fine. It's probably actually pretty good. Guilty Conscience is not the greatest. I don't like that one though. This guy's basically got no stats, like no quirks, which isn't bad. Having nothing is, keep tapping my mic. Having nothing is not a bad thing necessarily. It just means he's a blank slate and he can get all kinds of stuff. The downside to it is that obviously you don't know what he's going to roll at all. You don't have anything to go off of. Let me go to Embark. Let me sort my level here. Or I guess rather I mean to say remove my guys from my group. We earned what? What did we get from that mission we talked about earlier? What did we earn? The whole point of going on that mission was to earn a specific item. What did we earn from that? Am I blind? No. Oh, we went there because of the Book of Relaxation. It's so funny because I was like, wait a second, didn't we get this from finding on the mission? We did. They look very similar, right? Minus 10 stress, minus 20 stress. Both pretty interesting items. So we actually have ways of fighting stress damage now, which is cool. But, yeah. I'm going to leave this actually for next time. I need to think about this on my own and try to figure out who I'm going to bring and who I'm going to drop. But I know for sure when we come back, I am going to take Bondeville. Yeah, I'm going to take Bondeville because we need ourselves a we need a bounty hunter. We need somebody that can help us take down the big boys, and we're going to need to start training him up. That might be a good opportunity to drop one of our one of our lepers. But either way, that's going to be it for me for tonight here, and I'm going to take a half a second here. Again, Rubby Thompson, I think that's your name here. I just want to tell you I appreciate your viewership. Thanks for being here, checking things out, commenting, saying hello. Just, you know, being a stand-up person and just trying to reach out and help like a smaller person that's kind of getting started with things. I apologize for any reasonable apprehension that I have with things. I want to let you know that it's not personal in any real way. Just trying to kind of make sure that I make the right decisions, especially early on, and I don't make any dumb choices. So, but to the viewers that are watching, I just want to say again, you could be anywhere, watching anything. The attention economy nowadays, anybody that's watching YouTube, watching anything, I mean, there's so many things to distract yourself with, but you chose to be here and watch this, and I appreciate the heck out of that, so thanks for your time. But otherwise, that's going to be it for me for tonight, and until next time, I'm the Blue Titan, and if you want to see any additional content from me, you can go to one of two places, the Blue Titan Gaming, for short content of things like this, where I tighten that content down to very shorter clips with mostly action, or even shorter for my shorts. Or you can go over to full videos on the Blue Titan Gaming VODs to get the full video if you want to see more content like this one. But again, that's it for me for tonight. So until next time, I'm the Blue Titan, and thanks. Take it easy and keep it real. Bye.